Nazis vanished without a trace, defeat in 45. They all came out of the woodwork on the day the Nazi died. They say the prisoner of Spandau was a symbol of defeat, whilst Hess remained in prison and the fascists they would beat. So the promise of an Aryan world would never materialize. So why did they all come out of the woodwork on the day the Nazi died? The world is riddled with maggots, the maggots are getting fat. They're making a tasty meal of all the bosses and bureaucrats. They're taking over the boardrooms and they're fat and full of pride. And they all came out of the woodwork on the day the Nazi died. So if you meet with these historians, I'll tell you what to say. Tell them that the Nazis never really went away. They're out there burning houses down and peddling racist lies. And we'll never rest again until every Nazi dies.
Woke up one morning and there were soldiers. Oh, bella ciao, bella ciao, bella ciao, ciao, ciao. Woke up one morning and there were soldiers. The invasion had begun. Lend me your shoulder, we'll stand together. Oh, bella ciao, bella ciao, bella ciao, ciao, ciao. Lend me your shoulder, we'll stand together. But I feel my time has come, and if I die here for the resistance, oh bella ciao, bella ciao, bella ciao, ciao, ciao. And if I die here for the resistance, you must lay me in my grave among the flowers upon the mountain. Oh bella ciao, bella ciao, bella ciao, ciao, ciao. Among the flowers upon the mountain, let me rest among the brave. Someday the people will pick the flowers. Oh bella ciao, bella ciao, bella ciao, ciao, ciao. Someday the people will pick the flowers, and they will remember my name. This is the flower of the resistance. Oh bella ciao, bella ciao, bella ciao, ciao, ciao. This is the flower of the resistance, and those who died for liberty. This is the flower of the resistance. Oh bella ciao, bella ciao, bella ciao, ciao, ciao. This is the flower of the resistance, and those who died for liberty. This is the flower of our resistance, and those who died for liberty.
Come all of you good workers, good news to you I'll tell, of how the good old Union has come in here to dwell.
Which side are you on? Which side are you on?
My daddy was a miner and I'm a miner's son, and I'll stick with the Union till every battle's won.
Which side are you on? Which side are you on?
They say in Harlan County there are no neutrals there. You'll either be a Union man or a thug for J.H. Blair.
Which side are you on? Which side are you on?
Oh, workers, can you stand it? Oh, tell me how you can. Will you be a lousy scab or will you be a man?
Which side are you on? Which side are you on?
Don't scab for the bosses, don't listen to their lies. Us poor folks haven't got a chance unless we organize.
Which side are you on? Which side are you on? Which side are you on? Which side are you on?
I was born in a Dublin street where the lion runs to be, and the lovely English people walked all over us. And every single night when they tell come home tight, he'd invite the neighbours out with his chorus. Come out, you black and tans, come out and fight me like a man. Show your wife how you won medals down in Flanders. Tell her how the IRA made you run like hell away from the green and lovely lace of Gillishandra.
Oh. Hello there. What the fuck is going on there? Shall we start that again? Hello everyone, how are we all? I'm very well. Thank you for asking. Is Trump a Sunni or a Shia? I think he's an Alawite. Actually, no, those people are quite cool. No. I did see he said, yeah. What did he say? Something like, blessed be Allah or some shit. I don't fucking know. Anyway, yeah, he's trying to appeal to Muslims, which, you know, a bit late. Bit late. You know. Anyway. How are we all? Are we well? I'm going to be streaming with No Justice. But there's no award-winning gerbalisms today. I know. The world is just not the same without her. Sadly, she's not dead. But the Easter break means she's not, you know, around. But No Justice is, and that's cool. He did also tell them to open the fucking straits. Didn't he also refer to the Ayatollah as a bastard, which is... Okay, cool. The Saints are heading to Wembley. Well, that's because the semi-finals are held at Wembley now, which means the FA... I mean, the FA Cup has been killed as a tournament anyway, but you knew it was fucked the day they decided, oh, well, we've got to pay for this billion-dollar shithole stadium, so we're in the semis there as well. And now they don't even fucking do replays. Well, it's not the FA Cup then. It's just a random generic shithouse cup now. That if Birmingham City ever won, I'd go fucking mental. But as we're never going to, I can just badmouth it. Who cares? Yes. So. Yeah. Let's check in with the No Justice of the MTGs. Now that we're both the most famous leftists in the world, because we were both on that stream with Lance and Matt Binder and all of those people. Have Birmingham ever won the Cup? We've never won the FA Cup. We've won the League Cup twice. That is literally it. We've never won the FA Cup, though. Did reach the final and lost to a man with a broken neck. That's literally true, by the way. The famous Bert Troutman final when the goalkeeper broke his neck. And won. He didn't know he'd broken his neck. He thought he just had he'd hurt his neck, you know. We're currently winning in the Rat World Cup. Well, that is true. If by winning the FA Cup you mean has the largest rats in existence, we are. I mean, we're not just FA Cup champions. We are World Cup champions. Do that right next to the microphone. Always good. Anyway, oh yeah, I need to turn my fucking stream deck on, don't I? And then forget to press any of the buttons that might be worthwhile or add to the entertainment of the stream or something, you know. All of that jazz. Also, I did see a thing. Oh God, I feel like in the run up to the May local elections, we're gonna have to dip more into the extended Bowler Hat Man universe, because that guy is amazing. He's such a fucking briefcaser, and he's losing his shit because no one wants to vote for the Labour Party, and he's blaming the Greens for that somehow. Anyway, so I think we're gonna have to dip into that, including a video he did, I think today. I don't know. I saw it earlier, and yeah. If all you've got is tactical voting, then what are you trying to like? You're trying to win on a technicality. That seems a bit. Anyway.
Happy egg.
What?
It's the bunny and egg day.
Oh, okay. I'll be honest with you. I'm so internet brained. I thought you meant the other kind of egg.
Oh, right. Okay.
And I was like, how does she know? No.
Or like, well, she must have been fucking hiding it pretty well for all that time.
Yeah. Well, quite so.
But yeah, happy day of the Labubu Dubai chocolate egg.
Well, I don't eat chocolate all that much anymore, if I'm honest with you. I think I've got old man taste already. I much prefer a mashed potato to a chocolate and cocaine or something. I don't know what the young people do nowadays.
I mean, to be fair, I still have my my chocolate vice, but I know that I'm old now, Kevin, because I get excited by home furnishings.
That is sad. Yeah, no, that is bad. I quite enjoyed doing the lawn.
Oh my god, what's fucking happened to us, Kevin?
Honestly, I might as well just get in a coffin and just wait. It's just
we're gonna start screaming about the triple lock, and about the winter fuel allowance.
Yeah, have you noticed these days, young people, they just don't want to work, do they? Spend too much time on their phones. I'll tell you what they need to do. Get off Grok, get on your bike and go and look for work. You lazy bastards.
So true. They need to print their CVs on creamy hardstock paper and pound the pavement.
Exactly, like I did in my day, and nothing has changed since then. I definitely understand things and should be listened to when coming up with public policy.
Get a paper round and you'll be able to afford a house deposit.
Yeah, if you just stop eating so much fucking avocado toast, then the systematic fucking issues, which mean that no one can afford a house, regardless of how much they fucking earn anymore, will just disappear.
It is funny because we both own houses.
Well, I own part of a house and I'm barely able to keep up with the payments.
True.
Yes.
The bank owns most of yours, that's true.
Yeah, come on. Like, you know. I have a roof over my head, which is nice. I do enjoy that bit. Like, that's as good as Britain gets. I've got a place to live. That's, you know.
You're doing just as well as the serfs were pre-fucking enclosure. Count yourself lucky.
Talking of which, why the fuck were you on with Lance? You didn't tell me. I was genuinely surprised when I saw you there.
Really?
Yeah,
Really?
I wasn't told, and I assumed. Look, well, I didn't even think about it, but having thought about it, I would have assumed you would have said something, but you didn't, and so I turned up. I'd have been a lot more chill about it, right? Because I thought I'm going to be the only British person there, and I'll have to explain everything. Which, knowing that you were going to be there, I'd be, look, she's better than this at me, so I can just do dick jokes, and she can explain about Keir Starmer being a prick, you know?
Yeah, I think I didn't know you were on until very shortly beforehand.
Oh, right. I think I did trail it in the Discord, but assuming that you've got the time to look at my Discord, why would you? I barely look at my Discord.
I have notifications for Discord messages turned on, so that whenever you message me, I know that you've messaged me, basically.
Oh, no, but I meant in my Discord.
Oh, yeah, right, okay, fair enough then.
Anyway, yes. Why, NJ was on with Lance? Well, Sully, you must have missed it, because we were both on with Lance. And Matt Binder and all of those other cool people. Yeah. So we're basically me and Matt Binder. I don't think it's too much to say soulmates at this point, I think. That's how close we are. I've got friends in high places.
It's interesting. I've realised that's not the first time I've been in conversation with Matt Binder either.
Oh well,
So I had a
fucking
bit-
flex on me.
Yeah,
Go on.
I,
Yeah.
I fucking no, 'cause I interviewed him for Novara Media on the day when Charlie Kirk was shot.
Oh, that's super dope. Not only did you get to celebrate Charlie Kirk being shot, you got to talk to Matt Binder as well. Cherry on the cake. Let's go. The only other person happier that day, I'm sure, was Charlie Kirk's recently made widow.
The famously ungrieving widow.
Yeah.
Well, I did see some people in the comments saying Helena and Kev should have shut up because the rest of the panel didn't talk at all, and I was like, yeah, we did kind of take over the entire show.
Don't invite British people on. Of course we're going to fucking colonise it.
True.
What did you think was going to happen?
True.
It's like having a house near to an Israeli. Of course they're going to steal it. Why wouldn't they? It's what they do.
Well, if we don't steal it, somebody else will.
Exactly. Look, you've got natural resources. You're only using some of them. We might as well have all of them. Come on now. It's only fair. We built a ship to come here. Come on.
But I mean, to be fair, I don't know. I don't know about you, Kevin. I don't know about you, Kevin. But if I'm on a panel and literally everybody else does the work of making content for me, I'm usually pretty chipper about it.
Yeah, basically, yeah. But
Although
I just enjoyed talking. I enjoy talking. It's what I like to do online, especially. I'm actually not very talkative offline. But yeah, so of course, yeah, we're gonna go there and talk about shit.
I mean, I seem to think that it was the first time in ages that actually had a British person, let alone two.
Well, and
on the show.
rightly so. One shouldn't encourage them.
Well, yeah, exactly.
Because again, you let one or two in, and again, they'll just bring more of them. That's what
So my
you know. What
son-
they should have
yeah.
done. You know, the first Thanksgiving should have killed them all. Simple. You knew more were going to come. You didn't. Game over.
But yeah, like my assumption was that they brought British people on, and they wanted to have the whole gamut of what the fuck was going on in Bongerland, you know?
Well, no, I assume they didn't necessarily just want that, but I didn't care. I just went with the conversation because there's so
That's
much crazy shit going on in Britain and has gone on in Britain that like doesn't. I presume because we're basically a colonial backwater at this point. We've gone they've Uno reversed us. They used to be our colonies, we're now theirs, and so they get the big news. If there's a new prime minister, like it'll kind of make the 4th or 5th item on the Daily News or something. You know what I mean? Whereas like most of the time, none of it gets fucking reported. They definitely didn't know about no one knew who Morgan McSweeney was. I literally had to say like, don't call him Keith because they wouldn't get that joke. Right?
That's true.
Like people don't understand these things, and that's fine. Like my understanding of Zimbabwean politics isn't great. People don't understand foreign politics very well.
I know the Prime Minister of Zimbabwe is called Emerson Mnangagwa. That's the only thing I know.
Yeah, I know mostly
yeah.
Zimbabwean cricketers, if I'm entirely honest.
Yeah, Ryan Burl. There you go. That's a Zimbabwean for you to remember in chat.
Yes, one of them is called Coventry.
Charles Coventry. For a long time, he held the joint highest score in ODIs before Rohit Sharma hit a double century.
And let's be honest, Heath Streak sounds like one of those faces from The Wall of the agent in Toast of London.
Literally, it's so true, so true. What a name, Heath Streak. Love
Heath
it.
Streak. I got to watch him at Edgbaston a few times. He was very good. When he was exiled because he dared to say maybe Robert Mugabe shouldn't be killing people actually, and had to escape.
But yeah, I said like there was just when we were doing the conversation on the leftist mafia the other night, I genuinely forgot just how much dumb shit was going on in British politics. I genuinely forgot just how mental it all is.
Well, I know the thing is, right? We were doing obviously jokes amongst it, and there was one moment where I had to, I interrupt and stuff. I don't really mean to. I don't mean to be rude, but like you were explaining something, you said, and Bear Grylls was on the shortlist, and I saw Lance laugh, and I was like, I have to tell him that that's not a joke. I have to interject at this point and just make sure that everyone understands that wasn't a joke. The guy who drinks his piss in the jungle on TV, that guy was on the 3-person shortlist for that role, and arguably was the least weird and mental of the 3.
Yeah, literally, he would have been the least bad.
Like one of them's best friends of a nonce. The other one, it
Yum
was
yum.
literally
Yum yum friend.
literally could fill a fucking lake with the amount of blood of the poor he spilled as Chancellor. So actually, you know what? Bear Grylls fucking digging the hole in the ground with the arse bone of an elk and living in it or something, or whatever the fuck he does on these shows, is fine, actually. It's weird, but fine. Although apparently he did defend P. Diddy, so...
Fuck me. Jesus.
Yeah. But by comparison, a bit of mild defence of P. Diddy or literally being yum yum.
Oh dear. Oh dear.
Yeah. Anyway, well, you can find that to the person who said, where can I find it? It's on either of our channels.
Or the other channels as well from the people from Leftist Mafia, if you really want to give them the views and not us, but...
Yeah. So you can find that there. It was the other day. Just scroll down like 2 fucking videos or whatever. Anyway.
In the live stream tab specifically.
Oh, sorry, Russell Brand, not P. Diddy. Sorry, wrong rapist. My bad. Anyway, so there we go. Although, talking of Keir Starmer and weird shit, did you see that he's a little bit concerned that Kanye West is going to come over and headline a festival?
Yeah, he's got plenty to say about Kanye West, but nothing to say about the final solution law that just got passed in Israel.
Well, yeah, doesn't want to comment on that. But I just want to draw a comparison between the fact that he said that Kneecap were evil and were terrible and bad and should be banned, whereas a guy who made an album recently that had 2 songs with the name Adolf Hitler in the title. That guy, he just has some concerns about that. Hasn't called on them to ban him or to deplatform him in any way whatsoever. Just said, I'm concerned. Cool, very cool, very normal island we live on here. Yeah, it's wonderful.
It's everything. I'm just the absolute ocean of normalcy. I don't know what you're talking about.
Isn't he just yaying it? Yeah, but I'm not calling him that. Okay, no. He's like the right-wing version of a neo-pronoun. I'm not buying into it. No. His name is Kanye West. That is what I am calling the man. Anyway.
So true, so true. Shall we talk about the poll?
Which one? Lech Walesa? Who? Which one are we talking about? There's millions of them.
Oh.
I'm a very funny man.
Robert Kubica. There we go.
Oh, we've gone motor racing driving. Okay, cool. I thought you were going to go Lewandowski. My bad. Okay, we can.
I mean, Lewandowski would be the only Polish football player that I would be able to have told you.
Yeah, there aren't many, to be fair. There are a few goalkeepers from back in the day. Anyway, let's not get into fucking Polish sport. I've already spent far too much time today listening to the fucking county championship. Jesus Christ. Right. Yes.
How did Warwickshire do?
They're doing very well, although it'll probably be a draw, which is fine. Yeah, it's opening.
We take those. We take those.
Yeah, indeed. So, yes. So, yes. The Green Party. It turns out, right, if you offer people any semblance of hope in the future, they do tend to want to vote for you more than if you just say that people are fleas and trots and scum who can leave.
It's true. It actually might have an element of truth to it. You know, there are people out there who think that taking money away from the disabled is bad. Fun fact.
Yeah, literally. So, if you don't know what we're talking about, Lord Ashcroft, of all people, very right-wing piece of garbage, commissioned a poll. And it's one poll, so let's, keep it in perspective.
And it's also worth keeping in perspective too. It's a Lord Ashcroft poll. Lord Ashcroft polls is quite literally the lowest rated pollster in the country. So a giant mountain of salt has to be taken with this, right? Like,
true, but it's still, I think, generally in keeping with trends of recent polling we've seen elsewhere, which has the Green Party marginally ahead of the Reform Party and literally leading in the first national poll ever.
Yep.
Which is very impressive and gives you a great deal of hope for the future. That's lovely. Something to celebrate, something worthwhile. Certainly the first time a genuinely left-wing party has led in the polls for 50 years? Probably.
God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Since the 1970s, definitely.
Well, I guess if you take out 2015 to 2019.
Well, did Labour ever lead in the polls then?
Yeah, they consistently led after the 2017 election.
Oh, after 2017. Yes, apologies. Okay, yeah, I guess. But I mean, you've still, even within then, like, Peter Mandelson was still a member of that party, so it's
true.
There are some iffy elements of it, but I will give you that. We'll put an asterisk next to that claim then, and just say the first, leftist party to lead in the polls for a long time. Anyway.
I guess the first leftist insurgent party, right? The leftist third party, technically.
Yeah, a party to the left of the Labour Party that hasn't led in the polls
certainly.
since. Well, ever, I suppose.
Ever.
Yeah.
Literally never. This is the first time ever that a party to the left of Labour has been leading the polls. It's an incredible development. It's a really, really big moment.
It is a really big moment and something to be hopeful for. Again, with inside it, it's always Britain, so there's always going to be some shit. Is that the Tories and Reform combined have 40-odd% of the polling in that poll, which would be presumably enough if they wanted to form some kind of coalition, one would think. Again, if they want to, and if Farage has already said that, has already accepted so many Tories in, would he be happy to go against his former, we won't go, side with the Tories? But probably, I reckon. He's duplicitous enough, I think.
I mean, that's almost certainly true. Although, again, it's really difficult to know, because Farage has so many friends in the Tories. He's a former Tory. He's accepted in a bunch of Tories into Reform. Yeah. And yet, it seems to be that people who vote for him don't want to vote for the Tories, which is probably why he's got his numbers dropping. Like, even at the local elections last year, there were elections in Stapleford around the corner to me, and one of my mates was at the polling booth and heard people discussing there were Reform voters and Reform supporters who were gathering data at the polling booth, who were both surprised to find out and kind of disgusted to find out that the candidates they were voting for or canvassing for were both the same former Tories from that constituency, from that ward.
Yeah, of course, yeah. Like, I've said this before, you can't expect people who despise the Tories and defected away from the Tories because they hate the Tories to then go into the polling booth and vote for a fucking Robert Jenrick. You can't, you are a part, again, it's worth repeating just because of the absurdity of it. The guy who, as immigration minister, first opened the migrant hotels is now the economic spokesman for the party who are running solely on closing the migrant hotels.
Literally. No other policies other than infinite cash to pensioners and close the asylum hotels.
And stop the boats, although those are connected things, I suppose. But so it's just ridiculous. Like, you're asking Reform voters to vote for Suella Braverman. Really?
Yeah.
You think that's gonna it was one thing with Lee Anderson because he came over ages ago and is mental as fuck anyway. So he's looking at his own little weird thing. Whereas you're asking people to vote for fucking Robert Jenrick, man. People don't want to fucking do that.
Well, 100%. And it's not just the fact that it's the Tories and people don't want to vote for the same party in a different shade of blue rosette, right? But there is also just a more kind of fundamental philosophical point about the nature of insurgency and the nature of the fact that people don't just feel angry with the Tories.
Democracy Manifest.
They feel upset and angry and totally divorced from the political class, from how politics has been run in this country for the last kind of 30 years. They really are fed up with the same old from a political establishment. And you cannot run in as insurgent when literally over half of your MPs in Parliament are people formerly of those establishment parties. Not only is Lee Anderson a former Tory, former deputy chair of the Tory, former Labour MP, right?
Yeah. No, former Labour councillor, wasn't he?
Former Labour councillor, yeah. A former Labour Party councillor, campaigned pretty extensively for the Labour Party.
Yeah, oh, absolutely, yeah. No, he's a serial bed hopper, so to speak. A philosophical slut. Anyway, again, it's a combination of things. Like you say, the fact that his credentials as an insurgent should never have fucking been there because he isn't. He's a former Tory himself, Farage, and desperately wanted to be in the Tory party. If they'd have accepted him and become the English nationalist party that they've essentially become now anyway, 20 years ago, I think he'd have probably joined them and just stayed a Tory and always been a Tory because he's just an establishment shill at the end of the day. But that credential has been completely undermined by the fact that he now sits alongside fucking Cruella de Vil and Bobby J and all these fucking creatures.
Andrew Rosendale, like,
Yeah.
people who aren't just like from the wanker Tory party, who weren't just like people members of the establishment, but like the pathetic, awful ones who just clearly are doing it for future career prospects. Nadeem fucking Zahawi, the guy who was Chancellor for 5 fucking minutes.
The fucking, I mean, she's not an MP anymore, but Nadine Dorr is. Like
The messy queen herself.
the messy, stupid queen herself, Andrea Jenkins, like just the worst human beings you've ever fucking heard of.
Literally, Maria Caulfield. Like,
And then you wonder
it's all
why
just dregs.
You
It's
wonder,
literally dregs.
like literally, like it's both major parties have made the same mistake. It seems to me. I would say both major parties, the Reform Party and the Labour Party have both made the same mistake of looking at the Tory party, and because they're boomer pricks who think, well, that's the most successful party ever, we need to be like them, have forgotten that in recent elections, in recent times, they've become about as popular as getting bone cancer and a massive gas bill on the same day, right? It's insane how unpopular they are. There's nothing they could do. They could cure cancer and they're still not winning the next fucking election. So why have the Reform Party accepted in so many Tories and begun to do Tory party fucking boomer ass politics? And why have the Labour Party completely abandoned the actual base of people that would be more than prepared to vote for them if they weren't complete dog shit to become the new Tory party that everyone fucking hates?
It's really funny, isn't it? Again, like, there was a really interesting tweet that somebody put out today from one of my chatters, actually, Sockdem George. Shout out to Sockdem George in chat for being a dirty lib. But anyway, the point that he was making was that Jeremy Corbyn got 40% of the vote, almost 41% of the vote in 2017.
Yeah. There's a sizable chunk of the population that want something more progressive. Again, I don't think the country's particularly woke or anything, but there is a significant chunk of the electorate that have been ignored for 50 fucking years, and they've had enough of it.
Exactly, 100%. But it's not just like that. There was like people who were of a certain kind of ideological disposition, but is a huge giant cohort of the electorate. The Labour Party will literally never poll as well as they did under Jeremy Corbyn ever again. They will never, in a single general election in this country, ever get 41% of the vote. It's never going to happen. And that is the high point.
Yeah.
That's like going to be the high point for the rest of history from 2002 onwards for the Labour Party, is that very specific election. But what it represents specifically, first of all, the media never talk about this election. Never happened. Totally kind of memory hold into a freak thing that's never going to happen again. But second of all is that they kind of had convinced themselves, it's a real kind of SW1 Westminster bubble thing to believe, that Jeremy Corbyn uniquely appealed to a set of hard left, long-term socialists who joined militant tendency, rather than, as you point out, a broader section of society who like, broad kind of social democratic kind of reformist politics, actual reformism, rather than tinkering, you know. And those people, as you say, have been squarely ignored, but not just ignored, but actively denigrated nationally by the press as being essentially communists, right? Yeah. And they find it absolutely fucking mind-blowing to them that communism and socialism are getting more popular.
Well, exactly, because they've completely skewed what those phrases even mean, to the point where people like AOC can call themselves a socialist with a straight face, that kind of nonsense, and then vote for the fucking Iron Dome funding and madness. Anyway, the fact that you mentioned the media there, I think that's a really important thing, because they've completely rewritten what Britishness is as a concept. And I don't mean this in some grand, like, oh, we're a fantastic nation of industrious hardware, none of that fucking Churchillian wank, right? I mean, people were happy to get along in a social democratic system. Tories survived perfectly well when we had water and fucking gas and electricity and railways and British Telecom and the post office, all in national ownership. Tories got on perfectly well. Tory governments came and went and were fine with that. Conservatism was not incompatible with any of those things. You can survive as a conservative, a proper conservative voter, in those situations. You might not necessarily like it, you might want it slightly changed and adapted and blah, blah, blah. You might have different priorities and so on and so forth. But you can survive in that system, and it worked really well, and we had the most prosperous, booming time in Britain, basically ever, since probably the Industrial Revolution of a century prior. Right? And then the Conservatives sort of just ceded the ground to these neoliberal insurgent fucks within their own party, and they completely took over at a time when the Labour Party were very weak, and the media had become what it now is, Murdochized. And that pushing of that far-right, economically far-right agenda of neoliberalism and fucking privatisation and all the rest of it. Because bear in mind, when Thatcher won in 79, the word privatisation was not fucking mentioned in that manifesto. Because...
Well, she waited until the second... Yeah,
well, not just that, but, like, conservatism wasn't ready for that yet. Like, Conservatives in Britain didn't even want privatisation particularly. They didn't necessarily like nationalisation, and they didn't want any further nationalisation, but they were not for privatisation. She had to wait for the media to... and American pressure from fucking Reagan and all this Star Wars shite to force that situation in. And it's now gotten to the point where the media so control the narrative that they have written out, basically from 1979 backwards, they have written out the economic history of this country.
I mean,
it's like it doesn't exist anymore. It's like the only thing they have to give into is the NHS, because people, like, that's sort of it's the one good thing that they couldn't take away from the people yet. But other than that, everything else, government spending is communism, communism, communism. Forgetting, of course, that Britain was perfectly fine and survived for decades and decades with social democracy. It was fine.
Exactly. I mean, you say, like, even the Tories weren't ready for it. I mean, when she was trying to push this stuff through in the 1980s, the mid-80s, former Tory PM Harold Macmillan described it as akin to selling the family silver, if not in those exact words, right? Like,
yeah.
They genuinely... the Tories of old genuinely saw it as, like, civilizational vandalism.
Well,
to do what they did.
Because that's what it is. That's precisely what it is. It's a complete undermining of what... Again, it's a rewriting of what Britishness is or was. Taking things that were in common ownership, and again, even if you were a Tory who wasn't necessarily in favour of that and you weren't massively pro-trade union and all the rest of it, you accepted that these were parts of British life and that everything sort of came together to kind of work. Whereas they took out enough of the kind of the pins of the Kaplunk game, and all the fucking marbles have crashed to the floor now.
Literally, so true. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. Like, and the problem is that just like a Kaplunk, you can't just put the things back in, right? They've greedily fucking ate them like a fucking crazed, ravenous fucking demon.
And it's so disgusting that the privatisation of the post office was like a prime example of it. It was a system that worked, not necessarily perfectly, but if you invested in it properly, it worked, and it was a vital situation that the private sector couldn't take care of because there's no money in the final mile. Actually delivering letters isn't profitable. And that's fine. It's a vital service, though, so we pay for it. Fine, whatever. They sold it off dirt cheap, which cost billions. Billions that were saved by their very, very rich friends, who they then got jobs with in the city afterwards, naturally. And we've now got a situation where the Royal Mail this week was fined for hiding letters. Literally just taking mail that people had sent and not delivering it so that they wouldn't be delivered late. They just pretended it wasn't there ever.
It's crazy, isn't it? I mean, and again, like,
another privatisation success story, lads. You can't even get your fucking letters delivered at all now because it would look bad if they delivered them late. They weren't delivering them late before. They were just fucking delivering them. That's what the fucking mail is supposed to do.
Literally, it's so true. It's so true. And that's the thing, right? Is that, and there's a giant cohort of people in this country who just want to go kind of back to that.
Yeah.
And they just get routinely ignored and again derided as being the hard left. And as the hard left over here in my little hard left corner, I'm like, I fucking wish we were getting hard left politics. But in reality, we've had the economy dragged further and further and further right, year after year, government after government. And no one's tried to, at any point, move it back the other way. And so, of course,
because the media, because the media literally do this. People don't know this, right? But up until he retired a couple of years ago, every month, and this was the same under Major, Blair, Brown, Cameron, and May, right? Every single month, Rupert Murdoch had a phone call with the Prime Minister that lasted 2 hours. Every month of every year, during basically the entirety of the 90s, 2000s and early 2010s. because he's essentially like the monarch, in the Prime Minister has to go to him and check whether the things he's doing, or she is doing, are fine. He basically ran the British government. That's who they were serving. It wasn't a government of the people, by the people, or for the people. It was by Murdoch, for Murdoch, and of Murdoch.
It's so true. It's literally true. It's why it was so funny. People said, "Oh, well, we can't do these things because the press will attack us for. We can't do these left-wing things because the press will undermine us and we'll lose the election." I'm like, fucking get rid of elections then. Don't have elections. Just let Rupert Murdoch anoint a new king every 5 years who does his bidding. If we can't upset the fucking Murdoch hacks, because that's all that matters in electoral terms, fucking give up on democracy. It's pointless.
They literally did this. They weren't even trying to hide it. In the 2005 election, you can look this up, right? This genuinely happened. You know how when they elect a new pope at the Vatican, white smoke, right? At the Sun HQ, which isn't in Fleet Street, because literally no paper prints out of Fleet Street anymore. They haven't for fucking 40 years. It's too expensive. It's central London. Mental. But at their HQ in Surrey, or wherever the fuck it is, they literally, on the day they announced who they were going to tell their voters, their readers to vote for, they literally had a smokestack placed on the roof and poured out red smoke because they had decided to back the Labour Party.
Brilliant. Another famous story about the Murdoch fixing of the elections was that in 2010, when David Cameron was courting Murdoch for the Sun's endorsement against Gordon Brown, this is a story that George Osborne genuinely told, is that I think they were staying around at David Cameron's family was staying around at some kind of Murdoch estate or some shit, and David Cameron's child did a shit in the pool, and so they had to literally, whilst Rupert Murdoch's back was turned, hastily try and fish this thing out of the pool. Because, of course, if Rupert Murdoch found out that David Cameron's kid did a shit in his pool, he might not have endorsed the Conservative Party. Like, this is the insane world we live in, right?
Yeah. Incredible.
No, I don't need... I set the shallow... I don't need Leveson 2, I need the Red Terror, right? I'm sorry, at this point, it's gone too far.
Okay, that's oh yeah, did you see this? Not necessarily of particular international note, but just as they were a kind of a thing. You remember Maccabi Tel Aviv, the incredible football team from Israel who shouldn't be allowed in European competitions because that country is doing a genocide, etc. That they all went to bat for.
They're just small bean travelling football fans.
Exactly.
And they represent all Jews internationally.
They just like to engage in some ruckus, a little bit of urban violent rambling, if you will. Yes, it turns out their financial manager was arrested with sex offences against a minor.
Well, Nonce Wakanda strikes again.
I'm sure he'll say it's anti-Semitism, because why wouldn't you? You know. Yeah. So that's fun. Add that to the list of things. You know.
On the subject of the green polling, I think I want to make an interesting observation. Is that we've seen since Reform UK have been ahead in the polls consistently, really, for the past kind of 12 months, ever since the last set of local elections, like the ones coming up soon, which will also be an incredibly interesting thing to talk about potentially, because who knows what the fuck's going to happen at the locals now, what will affect the broader political economy in this country.
Well, the poll... BBC and... Oh, sorry, I was just going to say, the poll you sent me from Birmingham is fucking wild. To see the Green Party as the largest party, and the Labour Party down to 11 of 104 seats, mental.
It could be, yeah, like these are the kind of like wipeout territories we're looking at for the next locals. But in regard to the national polling, with Reform ahead, they've consistently been given position after position on the BBC, on ITV, on Sky, or whatever it is, to be treated as the third party and been given essentially an official rotating slot to be able to talk policy and respond to the government in the way they do with the Tories. Do you think they'll do the same for the Green Party now that there's a poll that's put them in first place? No,
because they're Nazi terrorists.
I mean, we're almost certainly going to see loads of deliberate, vexatious claims of anti-Semitism against the Green Party. You know they're going to go full Corbyn, but it's just, first of all, it's going to fall down because it's Zach Polanski. Like, the guy is just, first of all, it's really difficult to look at him and think that guy would be a racist, because he doesn't even have the vibes, you know?
Yeah.
And then second of all, he's Jewish himself. And third of all, everyone knows what Israel's like now. Everyone knows.
Yeah.
Like, everyone's made up their mind. Everyone's been seeing the dead children on their social media feed, and they're just like, Well, clearly, criticism of Israel is perfectly reasonable.
Well, exactly, yeah. Like, this is the thing. Again, the same kind of boomer mindset that I talked about earlier with them aping the Tories. The boomer mindset, the ironclad consensus that Israel's fine, actually, and if you criticise them, you're an anti-Semite, doesn't work anymore. People have seen too much. You can't unsee a man carrying his child's scooped up remains in a plastic bag. You can't unsee that. That's a thing that will be burned into your retinas for the rest of your fucking life. When dementia takes your memory, that will be one of the last things that goes. And so it doesn't work to say that criticising the people who did that thing is anti-Semitism, because it fucking isn't.
No,
Obviously.
and I think there's a couple of kind of stories I want to kind of feed in from this discussion here, which is that first of all, I've sent you a link to an article by the BBC which shows you the way in which they're going to try and do this kind of stuff, and it's just completely failing, and it's not getting any traction at all. So there's a story I've just sent you, which is a very, very funny story in terms of how big the gap is between where the press is at and where the people are at.
Yeah, well, exactly. The press don't represent anyone but capital, basically. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, here we go. I'm sharing with you, aren't I? Yes. Lecturer who called Israel a terrorist state. I'm going to time out already and say based and correct.
Indeed so.
To remain Plaid Cymru candidate, I'm just going to stop again and say based and correct decision from Plaid Cymru. Good stuff.
And that's the thing, right? Is that, like, in the Corbyn era, this would have been something that would have been a scandal. They would have been continual stories about it. It would have continually dominated the press, right? And in this, it's one article, it got shared, no one paid attention, and most people looked at it and went, yeah, obviously, based.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. Like, I mean, clearly they are. Again, do I have to go, like, do you remember the silhouette of the burning children in the hospital that got bombed? Again, that cannot be unseen.
Well,
that's the actions of terrorists. Yeah.
The thing as well is that you can't even just kind of wave this away with the they had to react to October 7th stuff. Whatever people's opinions are on what happened post that, of course, everyone knows my opinions, right? But when it comes to totally unprovoked invasions, that's what the Iran war is.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
That's their occupation of South Lebanon. Like, it's all terrible. Yeah. It's all terrorism, and it's all unprovoked, and it's all illegal. It's all in total violation of the UN Charter. Like, no one can disagree with this statement anymore. So it's not. You can't just make it part of the news cycle. It's just so funny to me that they're going to try and do this thing, make it a story. No one fucking paying attention. No one's paying attention.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, mad shit. And especially this week, it's so galling to see what they call terrorism. Like, spray painting a fucking plane is terrorism, whereas being a former member of Al Qaeda and ISIS, but you're now the president of Syria. Hey, welcome in, shake my hand, son. Want to buy some guns?
Literally. I mean, it is. But again, like, this is going to be closer and closer and closer to the median opinion on the state of Israel moving forward. It's just going to be the reality, right? When we looked at that poll that we mentioned on the podcast the other day of 45% of British people thinking that Israel treats Palestinians the ways Nazis treated the Jews. And I think that probably isn't necessarily true. It's just, I guess, kind of, it's genocidal, right? Like, how much further away can you get? But,
well, I mean, it's just a matter of the technique involved. The actual treatment is basically exactly the same. They haven't built ovens, but does it matter whether you're being bombed or gassed?
It's, and again, like, and the weirdo, like, blood and soil rhetoric, the obviously nakedly genocidal stuff.
Yeah,
the
they literally just
theorizing.
They just did their own version of the Nuremberg laws, where you've got the fucking they can just kill people now because they're Palestinian.
They got, and also, like, literally going door to door in South Lebanon, asking Maronites to make sure they're not hiding Muslims under the floorboards. Like, it's just so nakedly obvious the kind of stuff that's going on here.
And they're invading many of their fucking neighbours as well. Which I must bear in mind. People that don't seem to realise this. That fucking most of the people that were convicted at the original major war criminal trials at Nuremberg were convicted under the making of aggressive war indictment. Because most of them, they couldn't nail them down specifically on an order they'd given to kill Jewish people. But they could see that they'd openly celebrated and ordered armed forces to go into Czechoslovakia and Austria and Poland and USSR and so on and so forth.
Yeah, exactly. The thing is, this is far further than they've ever gone, really, in terms of Palestine, right? Like, you probably couldn't see some anti-Semitic connotations in trying to compare Israel to the Nazis, kind of pre-October 2023, because it would sound deliberately provocative, because we have to talk about it in this context of the people who perpetrate the Holocaust, and it's just like one-to-one comparison now. It's crazy.
And they've overplayed that again. I've said this a million times. The Israelis and the Zionist forces, if you will, Hasbro people have overplayed their hands so badly now that even people making those comparisons, like, people used to be like, whoa, mentioning Jewish people and Nazis, like, just chill the fuck out with that. Whereas now people are like, no, they are behaving like Nazis now. Like, they've just overplayed. You can't accuse people of making slight, a minor little, like, or maybe Israel could maybe not just steal all the houses, and then you go anti-Semite. Well, it loses all its fucking meaning then.
The unfranking Shiite Muslims in South Lebanon. Like, I'm sorry. It's just this is where we're at. This is where we're at. Also, thank you for pointing out in chat. Thank you for the 40 gifties, Henry. Thank you for the £5 Skynet. I'm not saying it's linked, but you and Kev were not on a podcast, and the first time Greens are first in the polls. It's true. You better believe it, right?
Well, exactly. Yeah.
But following on from this discussion about people's opinions of the state of Israel, and again the way in which the criticism of Israel has been used as a position to try and denigrate somebody and smear someone as an anti-Semite. This has real consequences, and I think it's a serious conversation we need to talk about. I've sent you another article in the DMs that it's worth going over, because this article details both
we haven't even got through the first fucking article. Yeah, we're not reading it or not? No.
Well, no, it's just that the headline's only really important.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
But because this next article, it details, first of all of the negative externalities of this smear campaign, all of the negative externalities of what happens when you essentially say you can't criticize Israel, you're criticizing all Jewish people. Remember when Jonah Platt, in that bit about Hassan Piker, said all Jewish people have this connection to Israel? I'm like, that's an insane statement. Like, that's blood and soil rhetoric, and you're trying to paint all Jewish people internationally as somehow being involved in Israel's genocide. It's insane stuff.
And
it's absolutely insane.
Literally, like, it feels like I'm going fucking crazy. The whole point of them, remember when Corbyn was strong-armed into accepting a definition of anti-Semitism that included the equating all Jewish people with Israel is anti-Semitism clause, right? And literally all Zionists are like, no, actually all Jews are Israel. So is that anti-Semitism when Jews do it or not? Like, I feel like I'm going fucking insane.
I feel like I'm going insane. And this article is the perfect kind of representation of that doublespeak, because it's really important to understand anti-Semitism is rising, right?
Yeah.
And not just the anti-Semitism that the fucking campaign against anti-Semitism pretends is like, oh, people wore Palestine badges.
Well, they're just a front for Israel. They're not against anti-Semitism in the slightest. Like, all these fucking pricks who put like the Anti-Semite of the Year award, and it's like Hassan Piker and Mrs. Rachel. So not Nick Fuentes. Not Kanye West, literally singing Heil Hitler, for fuck's sake. No,
exactly. No. But there, even if you discount all of the pro-Palestine noise that gets treated like anti-Semitism, outside of that, real anti-Semitism, really incredibly dangerous anti-Semitism is on the rise pretty stratospherically, and there's no use in trying to minimize that fact. I've seen lots of people going, you can't, I don't really care about hurty words, there's a genocide going on. You can care about more things at once, but it is both the case that people out there shouldn't be allowed to pretend that just because they've been kind of misinformed that means that they shouldn't self-criticize how they treat Jewish people. But on top of this, it is also perfectly true as well that this continual conflation is fueling anti-Semitism.
Can I just slightly push back on the person you mentioned in chat there? Because I think that's a really... I don't necessarily think they mean it in this way, but it's an insidious mindset, that, of saying hurty words don't matter, there's a genocide going on. The two things are in some ways connected, of course, but they're not intrinsic. So you can care about more than one thing at once, and you fucking should.
Yeah,
the safety of the Palestinian people is no more or less sacred than the safety of any other group of people. Now, of course, they're in more immediate danger than British Jews are, of course. But to say that like we shouldn't give a fuck or we shouldn't care about this thing or that thing or the other thing. Well, I mean, okay, you can do that with everything. You can dismiss literally any argument with that. Okay, why should I give a fuck about transport policy? There's a genocide going on. Like, you see where it gets you. Like, you have to have a genuinely holistic approach to politics. Otherwise, what the fuck are you in it for?
There wasn't a specific chatter, but I have.
Oh,
I have
sorry.
heard
Okay.
this, and that people responded to this article with like, why do I care? Why should I care about this? There's the genocide going on again. Like, as you say, it's myopic and it's terrible politics to think that you only have to care about one thing, you know. But it is important to understand that it is both a function of the conflation of anti-Israel sentiment and anti-Semitism, and also the fact that people out there do not self-educate themselves despite the propaganda to try and delineate between Jewish people and Israel that leads to the kind of anti-Semitism that we're going to read about in this article. But what's fucking insane in this article is they juxtapose it right next to boilerplate normal criticism of Israel alongside insane like stories of like kids being anti-Semitic, you know?
Okay, should we take a read?
Yeah.
Okay. Revealed. Shocking scale of anti-Semitism in Britain's schools. In one incident, primary school pupils were allegedly called baby killers for singing in Hebrew. See,
that's just anti-Semitism.
Yeah, that's anti-Semitism. What's not anti-Semitism is when Gennaro Gattuso called Gianluigi Donnarumma, the Italian goalkeeper, referred to the Israeli football team as baby killers, because several of them had been in the IDF. So, you know. And it was just fucking absolute madhouse bands. Love it. 2 6-year-old Jewish pupils were allegedly called baby killers for singing in Hebrew during a cultural day. It is just one of a string of examples of anti-Semitism in Britain's schools uncovered by The Telegraph. The children were left in tears after they had been allegedly subjected to heckling and abuse at the Church of England State Primary School. I suppose they're not religiously selective, are they? Because you can, in theory, but I just went to a Catholic school where every single kid was Catholic, but they didn't select, honest. So it's interesting to have,
I think it very little, especially Church of England schools. I think it fucking barely happens selection nowadays.
Yeah, exactly. Because the Church of England basically isn't really a religion. It's a jam sale and a man in a frock. That's it.
Well, that's the thing. At the end of the day, it's just they're historically Church of England schools, but in reality, they're just fucking schools.
By the way, when I say man in a frock, I'm not like echoing transphobia. That they literally like that's what it's called. It's like when you get you stop being a vicar, it's called being defrocked. That's literally a thing.
It is indeed.
So don't cancel me. The alleged incident was one of a growing number of cases of alleged, and you can't use alleged twice in the same sentence. That's really poor writing. You're a fucking journalist.
They write for the Telegraph. They're not really journalists, are they?
Like, you couldn't. There's online fucking what do you call it? Not dictionaries. What's the fuck?
You think the kind of lazy cunts who'd write for the Telegraph would at least put something through AI?
Yeah. Maybe they did, and he just spewed out that fucking sentence.
True.
Right. The alleged incident was one of a growing number of cases of alleged anti-Semitic insults and bullying, allegedly, aimed at Jewish school children. School children is one word. This is shoddy. What the fuck is what? You couldn't. Do you not check your work at all? In the wake of the October 7th attacks on Israel in 2023. By the way, is anyone else sick of hearing and seeing the phrase October 7? It's just annoying.
Yeah.
It was fucking 2.5 years ago now. Like, at no point does that justify basically anything that has happened subsequently.
That's the thing that people point out. It's like, when it comes to October the 7th, nothing can justify it, but it also justifies everything against it, which is, again, really frustrating.
Anyway. A dossier of examples obtained by the Telegraph highlights the concern in the Jewish community about the children's safety at non-Hebrew schools. In some cases, fellow pupils appear to blame their classmates for Israel's military offensive in Gaza following the Hamas attacks that killed 1,200 Jews. Now, what I will say is that you've got to bear in mind this is children, and children are evil little cunts. Literally, I mean, this has got nothing to do with it, but just an example of the way in which children operate. There was a guy at our school. I won't reveal his real name, but let's just say it was David Beckham. Fuck it. And instead of calling him David Beckham, we called him Billy for 5 years because one day, he was having a slagging match with some other kid, and the other kid said, "You look like Billy Connolly's cock," right? Which was funny. That was just a funny sentence that someone said one time, and everyone laughed, and he got really embarrassed. So we called him Billy for 5 fucking years.
Jesus, kids are awful.
Yeah, if I met him today, I'd have the urge to call him Billy because and he just accepted it like a dog that had been beaten. Eventually, he was just like, "You go, you're right, Bill. Yeah, you're right, man. How you getting on?" Like he'd answer to it. Like it was mad. It was mad. We also had a kid who, because obviously in Catholicism you don't have you're not circumcised usually. Like you can be, obviously, it's not against the rules, but you don't. Except the one kid in our school. Was because he was born with a foreskin that was too tight and it would hurt him as a newborn baby to urinate, so they had to cut it off, right? He was stupidly told us this fact, and again we took the piss out of him for ages because he had part of his cock missing. Again, children are fucking evil. Children are evil.
I'm so glad I'm sterile. Fuck me.
Well, I'm not sterile and I'm also not procreating. Children are scum. So the point is, if it wasn't this, it would just be another thing about that person. It would be their fucking feet are too small, or they've got fucking thumbs that are a bit weird, or it would just be something else you'd get fucking picked on and taken the piss out of for. Everyone had to put up with it. It's grim and awful, but that's just how children are. When I think of anti-Semitism, I don't. You should obviously educate your children to not be that way. But when I think of anti-Semitism, I don't think you can really blame children for being pricks.
I mean, what
they're
you
learning.
Parents, right?
Yeah.
I mean, if they're going to be saying shit like, "You as a Jewish child in Britain are to blame for Israel's genocide," you've learned that from an adult. An adult has taught you that. An adult has taught you that anti-Semitism.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. But the point I'm making is that, in the same way that we don't hold children responsible because they can't commit crimes because they're a child, I don't know that you can hold it against them in some grand moral sense or indeed any legal sense.
No, of course
that
not.
they're behaving this way.
Yeah.
So when I think of anti-Semitism, I don't think of children doing anything. It's the adults that are doing stuff that's the problem.
Yeah, the thing is that children are children are representations of their parents and of wider society too.
Yeah.
People like kids were racist at school because they had racist parents or they'd seen racism in public because racism was fucking everywhere in the 2000s.
Yeah. In some cases, fellow pupils appear to blame their classmates for Israel's military offensive in Gaza following the Hamas attacks that killed 1,200 Jews. Researchers have found, and by the way, again, 1,200 Jews, you could just say Israelis. I think that would be more appropriate, but whatever, it doesn't really matter. Researchers have found that Jewish parents have also grown concerned about the peddling of anti-Semitic stereotypes in textbooks and lessons. See, now that's an issue if that's happening. I'll wait and see what they give as examples of that. But if that is happening, that is a problem.
Kevin, no, I won't bury the lead. Sorry, I won't bury the lead.
Okay, well, exactly. Spoilers, yeah. Some teachers have taken to wearing pro-Palestine badges in the classroom. There we go. So it's not then.
It's insane, right? They're literally not right fucking next to each other. They are trying to equivocate between obvious anti-Semitism, i.e. you as a Jewish child is responsible for Israel, to something in no anti-Semitic at all, which is a teacher wearing a Palestine badge.
Yeah. Again,
and it's so dangerous. It's so fucking dangerous.
It really is, because no one takes it. Literally, in my heart now, I find this less interesting and worthwhile, even as just an article. Even though it is pointing out something that's happening and serious, you're also conflating it with something so ridiculously banal and calling that anti-Semitism too. Do you not see how you're undermining the seriousness of the thing you're trying to elucidate?
Literally. And again, all it will do is lead to two things. First of all, people not taking the real anti-Semitism seriously because it's right next to something that's so obviously nakedly not anti-Semitic that they discredit everything written in the article. And second of all, it continually buys into this idea that somehow there's this big conspiracy to stop people being able to criticize Israel, right? When in reality, all it is kind of material politics,
Yeah.
But and again, all it does is serve to undermine genuine criticism of anti-Semitism.
Yeah. So, yeah, some teachers have taken to wearing pro-Palestine badges in the classroom, creating what parents claim is a hostile atmosphere for pupils of Jewish heritage. Can I ask?
It's not,
Yeah,
by the way. It's really worth pointing out. It's not that.
Yeah, can I ask how that's possibly doing that? Like, I'm not suggesting there isn't a hostile atmosphere, because I don't know. I don't go to these schools, because I'm a fucking grown adult who isn't a teacher or a member of the House of Lords. Yeah, so I don't know this, but like, how can a badge create an atmosphere? What the fuck are you talking about? Like, how are those two things remotely connected? If indeed there is such a hostile atmosphere as is claimed, again, because you say parents, you don't name anybody, which is understandable to a degree, I suppose. But if it's like 2 parents out of a school of, fucking 1,000 kids or something, and therefore 2,000-ish parents, why do I care what these fucking dickheads think? Well, anyway, right. Reported cases include swastikas being carved into school toilets. Okay, that's a problem. Definitely.
100%.
Graffiti saying "Kill Jews" daubed near school premises. When you say near school premises, what does that mean? Because, don't get me wrong, it's bad no matter where it is, but is it actually connected to the fact that there are Jewish kids at that school? Or is it just some Nazi prick in the local area saying a dumb thing?
I mean, as you say, it doesn't really matter where it is at the end of the day.
Well, it does to the whether it's actually implicated in this story at all, or whether it's just a general anti-Semitic thing in the area.
True.
You know what I mean?
Whether it's specifically the school that's the problem, or the school kids, or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. And Jewish pupils claiming to have been subjected to racist and anti-Semitic abuse during a football match. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure that does happen. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
And by the way, I don't mean that sounded dismissive. I just meant, like, I'll accept that claim because I'm absolutely certain that sort of thing does happen. Click the links below to find out the incident in specific areas of the country.
They mentioned it in brief in the article, so you can, if you read through.
Yeah. The claims follow last month's firebombings of a North London Jewish charity which destroyed 4 ambulances. Counter-terrorism police have made a series of arrests in connection with the attack at the Hadzola Northwest charity in Golders Green. The Community Security Trust, CST, which monitors anti-Semitism in the UK, found last year had the second highest annual total ever recorded for anti-Jewish hate incidents at 3,700, up 4% on the 3,556 incidents recorded in 2024. Again, I do have to wonder, because of the unseriousness with which this article has been written, how many of those incidents were actual anti-Semitism and how many of it was someone saying "Free Palestine," or I don't know, let's say a Scottish journalist living in America who saw a free parking sign, maybe.
I mean, so depending on where the data comes from, it can be really different. So, like, Campaign Against Anti-Semitism are notorious for just taking any pro-Palestine sentiment and treating it as anti-Semitism. Yeah. The CST are usually better. I would say that there are other charities that do it better than they do, but the CST is like I would describe them as being mostly good on this kind of stuff in my experience. But okay. There have been some cases in which that they have, I think, been overzealous in trying to shoot down pro-Palestinian sentiment as being anti-Semitic. But I don't think it's necessarily being done maliciously.
What? Only 2023 had more incidents, with 4,298 after Hamas's October the 7th attacks and Israel's military response. Allies of the Jewish community say more has to be done urgently to tackle the spectre of anti-Semitism blighting the lives of children in Britain. Isaac Zarfati, the executive director of Stand With Us UK, a charity that combats anti-Jewish racism at schools and universities, said, quote, "The shameful explosion of anti-Jewish racism on university campuses has made headlines time and again, but we have been witnessing in real time how it is now creeping into schools and being used by children of all age groups." I will just say, can we check out Stand With Us UK? Because I don't know that particular organisation.
I mean, the very first thing I did was look at their website, and the very first sentence I read had an Israeli flag and a British flag at the end of it.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
not a great look.
Yeah.
So okay, Stand With Us UK was founded in 2010, works closely with SW Israel, and has become a recognised support system and leading resource for students on UK campuses. Stand up and strong in the face of anti-Semitism and anti-Zionism. So it is, of course, a Zionist front.
Yeah, so yeah, it's just Zionist bullshit. As soon as I saw the explosion of anti-Jewish racism on university campuses, you mean students who don't like genocide campaigning against genocide?
The thing is, I think that probably is true that there probably is more anti-Semitism on UK university
Yeah,
campuses
but
than there were before, in line with what we were talking about in
Yeah.
terms of what's happening in schools and the rise of
Well,
anti-Semitism.
yeah,
but
it's very possible, but the explosion of anti-Jewish, that they mean people protesting or trying to get their universities to divest from the fucking Holocaust oranges and stuff, you know.
yeah,
This is rapidly becoming a national scandal, and it is essential that the government starts to get a grip. I
So,
do wonder what
yeah.
exactly you want the government to do about that. Their school
well, the
children.
thing, yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, the schools have to have like a proper policy for dealing with this stuff, and it has to be enforced properly, offset, blah, 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 blah. But what's interesting, right, in terms of how the government should react, this is an interesting point I want to make. Kevin, do you know what a non-crime hate incident is?
I've heard of it. I've heard of these things before, and it's basically a kind of a legal equivalent of a microaggression or some dumb shit, isn't it?
Basically, the police will write down whenever they find somebody doing something which is obviously like racist or homophobic or sexist or transphobic or whatever, right? And they will take a note of it so that they know that this person has done things that have been of these kind of ilks, but hasn't committed a crime. But it means that in future, if they attack someone from that protected characteristic and it is a crime, they can properly classify it as a hate incident, as it's part of a recorded pattern of behaviour. That is why non-crime hate incidents exist, and why police used to take them down. Because there's been a really big kind of media frenzy about how terrible it is that people having their free speech cancelled by the police for noting down these things. And of course, you don't ever get reprimanded for having infinite numbers of non-crime hate incidents. It's only if you commit a crime that they can use that data to try and infer that it was a hate crime when it was done, that it's ever relevant, you know?
Yeah.
So, but the British press, essentially because non-crime hate incidents have been used to push back against transphobia, they've specifically kind of gone against that so that the police can not ever have to interact with them if they, advocate for trans people being kind of being not allowed to exist in as low numbers as possible, as Helen Joyce.
Yeah.
Well,
this is the thing. The reason the British media push back against it is because they want to be hateful, and they want their readers to be hateful, and they specifically target hateful people. So,
and the thing is, and the thing is, when it comes to these kind of things, a lot of these things aren't illegal. Some of them probably, there might be, even obviously whether it's a kid doing it, it's different, obviously. But if these things are the things that an adult was doing, they might not be illegal, but they certainly are hate incident in some cases, right?
Yeah.
And so they would need to be noted down so that you could therefore properly scrutinise people's anti-Semitic behaviour in case they committed a hate crime. But weirdly, everyone's just kind of silent about this fact that the press are essentially making Jewish people less safe.
Yeah.
Because when actual incidents of anti-Semitism do happen, they can't be noted down by the police because they're banned from doing non-crime hate incident reports now.
Well, because the British media don't care about Jewish people; they care about Israel.
Well, that's the thing, of course. But on top of this, it also means that there are probably plenty of people who will come out and say these kind of anti-Semitic incidents should be noted by the police because it's obviously so terrible, and they are total fucking hypocrites.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, it's actually not about being opposed to racism or being opposed to prejudice. It's about what groups that they think are worth protecting and which aren't. Because I believe that you should take down non-crime hate incidents. I believe that plenty of things here should have been noted were they done by adults.
Yeah. London. In one case, a 6-year-old Jewish girl was allegedly, again the word allegedly, look for synonyms. That I'll explain for the Telegraph journalist. A synonym is like a different word that sort of means the same thing. Because if you keep using the same word over and over, your writing is stulted,
repetitive,
and hackneyed and shit. So as a journalist, what you should try and do is mix things up a little bit by having a word that basically means the same thing, but it's a different word. You see? Because if you just repeat, you see the point. Yeah. No, go back to colouring with the crayons. Yeah. allegedly subjected to verbal abuse for singing in Hebrew. Didn't they already mention this?
I think that what they're doing is they're now collating each individual
okay.
incident into different titles. Like, this is the London incident versus the other ones, yeah.
Right, I'm with you. The girl had been asked to read a poem or sing a song reflecting her culture, and she chose to sing an Israeli song. Okay. That's a little bit different. That's the detail you didn't give me before. Now, that doesn't mean you can call someone a baby killer, but if they're strictly doing, like, Israeli cultural stuff, not Jewish cultural stuff, Israeli cultural stuff, and that gets linked back to the crimes of Israel, that's a very different thing than if they're just attacked for being Jewish.
I mean, at the end of the day, I don't think any of the kids necessarily know that it's an Israeli song, right? They just hear it in Hebrew.
Well, we don't know. Was this explained in before the song took place? Was it discussed in class? Do people know? Had she informed people that this was the case? I don't know. But ultimately, again, it's the adding in later of a significant piece and a significant detail that does change the story, rather than leading with that, which would give people a correct impression. Anyway, chose to sing an Israeli song with her friend, who was also Jewish. Their parents said that during the performance, classmates had shouted "baby killers," which reduced the children to tears. The school in London subsequently called in the parents of the children who had shouted the insults to tell them that the behaviour had been unacceptable. The mother of the girl, who is now 8, told the Telegraph, quote, "She was really upset and also embarrassed because it took place in front of the whole school. I can only assume that..." Oh, go on, sorry.
Well, I guess what's interesting is that I don't know. I mean, it's the school acted correctly.
Yeah,
the school
I'm not
said
sure what
that
else
you can't just you can't just call your classmates baby killers because they sing in Hebrew. Like, the school literally did what the school is supposed to do. I don't know what else the press are expecting to happen.
You
here.
say that, but like, we used to throw around Fritzl as an insult. We used to refer to fuck off Fritzl. Right?
Jesus
just
Christ,
again,
Kev, your fucking mate's awful.
Yeah, but because especially boys are fucking trash. Yeah, we used to. Yeah, what was the other one? What's his name? Shipman. Fuck off, Shipman. Yeah, that was an insult we used to throw at each other. No, we didn't do that. In like a classroom setting. This was like, at break time or on the bus home or something. Not in front of teachers, because again, it wasn't meant as like a fucking racial insult or anything. It was just like it was essentially a slightly edgier way of saying you're a dickhead, or something like that. And again, it was between friends anyway, so it doesn't really matter. What was I going to say? Yeah, sorry. I can only assume the children who shouted out "baby killers," who were slightly older, picked their attitude up in the home or wider community. They are only children themselves. Yeah, that's fair. The parents of the child my daughter was singing with are Israeli, and they are really upset because they thought they would be safe in the UK. No one is entirely safe anywhere they go from being, like, verbally accosted. That's not a thing that exists anywhere on Earth, and never has and never will. Like, don't get me wrong.
Racism is everywhere, right?
Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying you should just fucking accept it, like, tough shit. But, like, the idea that you came to the UK because you thought there was no racism.
Big mistake, mate. Big
what
mistake.
the fuck are you talking? Like, that's ridiculous. There's no place on Earth I would go to expecting there to be no racism. Especially because I'm British. I think it's actually ethical to racially abuse British people. Not racially, I suppose nationally. Yeah. Ethically, you should be xenophobic to British people. You should. Okay? Anyway, you can cut that bit out in the VOD. Right. The identities of those involved in the cases uncovered by the Telegraph have been obscured for security purposes. In a separate alleged incident... never mind. Just carry on. In a separate alleged incident, the 6-year-old was taunted while playing fairies with a friend. Is fairies a game of some kind that I'm unaware of? The child's mother said that when her daughter said, "Let's fly to Israel," another pupil responded by asking, "Isn't that where they kill babies?" To be fair, it shows that they're keeping up with current affairs. Because that is, yeah, that is where they kill babies.
To be fair, that's not even necessarily a taunt. Like, lots of children have been killed by Israel,
Yeah, and of course these are children who don't necessarily watch the news intently and pick up on everything. So when they say, "Is that where they kill the babies?" I mean, yeah. The
And the
answer
problem,
is
of course,
yes.
is that like the problem is with when this language gets used, is that no matter how many children Israel has killed as a country, it can always blend into blood libel kind of stuff because that's specific about killing babies as a specific act rather than just many of the children among people of all ages that have been killed by Israel because they kill indiscriminately, because they kill civilians, because they're genocidal, right? Like in the IDF,
Also,
sure, like babies have been killed by the IDF, they have been killed by Israel,
also,
but Israel
yeah.
have been targeting civilians more broadly, right? That's how
But this
genocide
is,
works.
but again, they didn't say let's fly to, I don't know, Jewish people's houses. They specifically said to Israel,
The state of it, yeah.
that's a political entity ruled by Zionist government. That isn't a fucking, that isn't
like
synonymous with Jewish people.
like you can call this like I don't think you can expect children to know the finer points of the geopolitical nature of the military actions of the IDF rather than just we saw the fact that the list of 0-year-olds in the names of the people dead in Palestine
Yeah.
is so long that you go page after page after page before you get to 1-year-olds. Yeah, like the level to which that we can hold the lack of clarity on this statement accountable is incredibly low because lots of children have been killed by Israel.
Yeah. Her mother added, "The school was very good and immediately called in the parents." So, like, why is this a story then? That they did the fucking right thing. What? Anyway, right. The school was very good and immediately called in the parents to say it was completely unacceptable, but people seem to have normalised the abuse of Jews. No, again, they said Israel. Let's fly to Israel. Just, again, conflation of the two things again. And to extend it to children is just shocking. In another alleged case, a 13-year-old girl was travelling on the school bus during the first term at a Hebrew school in northwest London. In November 2024, when a group of 11-year-olds from another school began banging on the windows, shouting abuse and filming the children inside while yelling "fuck Israel." Okay, that's not cool.
No, exactly. Like again, this is the fucking children who have no connection to the state of Israel. And again, this is what happens when the fucking popular narrative that keeps getting spread is there's this indelible link between an international ethnic community, an ethnic diaspora, and one country that happens to have their particular ethnicity as the dominant and overwhelming ethnicity because it's an ethnic state, right? Like these things aren't linked, but it's continual public fucking narrative from the press and from the media and from politicians that they are linked, which makes these kind of statements happen more frequently because it keeps getting reified by the press. And I'm like, no, these have to be delineated, and we're seeing the problems that get created when they don't get delineated.
Yeah. The teenager's mother still feels too scared to let her daughter travel to school independently and now collects her from the bus drop-off point. So this is a middle-class mother who can afford to do that. Right, so this is a bored middle-class housewife. I mean, not whinging because what happened to her kid was fucked up, but like, it does seem like this isn't even an option for a lot of other people. Why do these people get given a fucking that much? Again, as school bullying stories go, it's pretty fucking tame. No physical harm came to them whatsoever. I'm not look. It's not good, but I find it difficult to get too fucking worked up about it. Well, there are people getting fucking knifed up in schools. Like,
it's worth pointing out people in chat are saying, well, how much we know of all of this is true because it says alleged. I'm like, because they have to put some clarification just in case of, legal action, right?
And
like, this is just...
And they have to put alleged because they don't own a fucking thesaurus.
Also true. But yeah, like... But if these are things that have been reported and put up as statements to particular charities when they've done surveys, right? Like, unless you specifically talk to all the schools in question, gotten fucking corroborating evidence and shit like that, it will always be alleged, right?
Yeah. Following the Hamas attacks on Israel, and by the way, I condemn both Hamas and Hassan Piker, in case anyone was wondering. Just saying. Following the Hamas attacks on Israel, teachers advised the pupils of the school to take their uniform jackets off when outside the school grounds over fears that the Hebrew lettering on the badge could make them targets. Well, that is really grim.
Well, like, literally, because again, we've seen that people will literally see them on a bus with Hebrew on it, and they will engage in abuse. And again, they frame it as about Israel, but the fact that they are conflating the fact that it's just a Jewish school full of Jewish people who speak Hebrew versus the state of Israel that's thousands of miles away is all of where the problem's coming from.
Yeah. I'm going to pronounce this like an American. Norwich! In a separate alleged incident, pupils from the Northwest London Jewish School said they had been subjected to openly anti-Semitic insults from opposition players and spectators during a football match against another school in Norwich. Now, again, not to belittle the fact that that happened, because that's a terrible thing, as a person who has played football and been involved in football culture for a long time, of course they did. The people involved in football will use literally anything about you to try and undermine you while you're on the pitch. That's just fucking true. Like, again, it's not nice, it's gamesmanship. These people aren't necessarily fucking insipid, nasty anti-Semites. In fact, some of them might be off the pitch quite woke and nice. But on the pitch, it's, you're this, you're that, you're the other thing. And again, some of it, they'll just make it up, just say, oh, you're gay. Or, I don't know, you're Joseph Fritzl or whatever. That's just what happens. I mean, it sounds bad, but, like, if you really don't want to do it, don't fucking do it. Because that's going to happen. It doesn't matter whether you're Jewish or not. You're going to get abused verbally. That's just a thing. Anyway. One of the parents, the father of a mixed-race Jewish pupil, claimed that his son had been called N-word Jew. I presume not literally N-word, it was the word. During the game in March this year, which he described as deeply disturbing and traumatizing. Yeah, I bet it fucking was. The father, who had attended the Jewish school in the 1980s, said he recalled being called Yid and Jew when leaving the school and had found it extremely upsetting that more than 40 years later similar abuse has been directed at my own son. Yeah, because racism wasn't really tackled. Racism hasn't been tackled in this country. We've taken the Lawrence Fox approach of just going, we're the most tolerant nation in Europe, so it's fine. Like, we just pretend to ourselves. It's essentially the British version of, like, American exceptionalism, shy. We're really tolerant and awesome, so we don't have to do anything to address anything. Which is why we can abstain when fucking slavery comes before the United Nations.
Like, and as you were saying before, like, the fact that even to this day, in just football culture, people just engage in racism to try and psych out your opponent shows you how little that we've done to tackle these things.
And homophobia and fucking all kinds of bigotries,
Literally, I mean, like, that they had like rainbow laces and stamp racism out of football. It's just fucking, did it go away? Of course it didn't.
No. Another parent told the Telegraph that her 15-year-old son had been left traumatized by the match abuse incident. Quote, the abuse was terrible. My son is still very upset and scared about what happened. She said, schools need to take this issue seriously. They need to tackle it through education. It's a huge issue because nobody else in the country suffers as a group like Jews at the moment. No. Time
we literally
out.
had fucking the shadow justice minister essentially saying that Muslims engaging in acts of public prayer were trying to dominate society. Literally doing a fucking, Islamo-leftism conspiracy shit on the timeline.
Yeah, and fucking, when a party loses an election, now they just go, well, the Muslims are cheating. And that's just fine. That's tolerated. That's just national news. Forcing the local police to investigate a complete fucking red herring. Yeah.
We have your fucking billionaire authors and millionaire fucking, or I guess former millionaire fucking comedy writers essentially trying to tell the entire country that every trans person's a secret pedo.
Yeah. The British government are literally attacking LGBTQ rights, but oh no, you got someone fucking said, is that where they kill babies in the school playground? I'm sorry, what a ridiculous piece of victim playing bullshit is that?
I mean, look, every group is suffering. I'm trying to turn this into fucking,
Well, no, but it's just it's just a lie. It's just a lie that some people will tell themselves. It's fucking bullshit. Like, statistically provable bullshit. Anyway.
We don't need to play top trumps. We don't need to do oppression Olympics. They're a group, like, every minority group is on the receiving end of bigotry, and it's all bad. And the idea that we should, like, take preferences here is pointless.
No, well, except bigotry against the French. I'm just saying.
True.
They know what they did. This bullying is so bad, and obviously with the ambulances incident, everyone is frightened. That's the ambulance incident in which nobody was even hurt. Don't get me wrong, bad thing, shouldn't have happened. I hope the people who did it go to prison for a very long time. They are terrorists. But, like, if that's the thing that's got you worried, you're clearly not the most put upon fucking group, are you? I'm sorry. Look, so I'm not going to mollycoddle fucking idiots anymore.
I mean, they could have had people in them. Like, I understand why people are scared, but like, there was some guy tried to firebomb a migrant centre. We had people trying to burn down mosques. There was a shooting incident at Heaton Park Synagogue as well. Like,
yeah,
every group was under attack for all sorts of reasons.
Yeah, exactly. If she'd mentioned that, if she'd mentioned the fucking nutters that went into the synagogue with a gun, yeah, or was it a knife or whatever the fuck, whatever, right? Yeah, that would be, that's a reason to be fucking afraid. Really afraid. That's a terrible fucking thing. And it's just annoying. The conflation of actual anti-Semitism with, like, wearing a fucking badge. And the kind of victim Olympics nonsense here of we're the most put upon, when that's clearly not fucking true. Right, where are we? Everyone's right. Norfolk Police said that the following: a thorough and independent investigation, it found no evidence to support claims of anti-Semitic chanting or behaviour, and that without any evidence or independent verification, it did not meet the evidential standards required to pursue criminal proceedings. The school in question said, the school and trust have cooperated fully and transparently throughout, providing all available evidence to support inquiries. We recognise that concerns were raised and have treated them with the utmost seriousness. Anti-Semitism and all forms of discrimination are completely unacceptable and have no place in our schools. Cool.
Thank you for the 10 gifted Sue Globalists. Appreciate the support. And again, like, most of these things are just going to be hearsay. It's going to be he said, she said. And so finding evidentiary support for whatever side of this argument is going to be fucking impossible lots of the time.
Literally.
Yeah.
Thank you, Bibzar, with 5 subs. Thank you, Madcat, for gifting a sub. Much love to you. We had some things on YouTube. Thank you, Carl Brown, with a couple of gifties. Much love. No, I don't want to just rush through it, but, like, I've got a guest. And we're both really famous now, so you plebs are just going to have to put up with it. Thank you, Alex Arthur, for the gifted membership as well. Literally, me and Matt Binder are getting married. I'm telling you. Devon. A parent in Devon told researchers about a number of incidents at their child's school involving alleged anti-Semitism. One of the 13-year-old school, allegedly, performed a Nazi salute, saying Jews shouldn't have the same rights as others. That's bad. If that actually happened, that's
like,
terrible.
It's just, like, again, like, when they're placing this next to someone or a Palestine badge. Like, it's just the level to which that it degrades the content of the shit like this to juxtapose it with things that just aren't anti-Semitic at all.
Yeah. Oh no,
just criticism of Israel.
Yeah, Madcat, you're not a pleb. No, you're a streamer. So you're one of the elite. Yeah.
You're even worse.
Exactly, subhuman.
Streamers are we're the most oppressed minority. It's true.
We really are. It's worrying times. You know, I saw a free parking sign the other day. Streamers are tired. Just saying. Fartlow is the funniest. She really is. Where are we? Examples included pupils being shown images of Palestinians throwing stones at Israeli soldiers. Oh no! Apparently Palestinians don't have a right to defend themselves. With the teachers describing this as fighting against an army committing genocide, which is true.
Literally just like a fucking fact. The teachers accurately described a picture depicting the thing that they said. Like, this is in no way comparable to people doing Nazi salutes.
Look, we don't send our children to this school to learn facts, please. We'd like you to lie to them in accordance with our personal beliefs. If you don't mind. Like, what? Oh, come on now. One teacher who allegedly asked their class to name the capital of Israel told pupils that Jerusalem was not the right answer.
Correct.
Yeah,
it's not the capital.
It's Tel Aviv.
Yeah, the UK does not recognise Jerusalem as the capital of Israel. The United Nations does not recognise Jerusalem as the capital of Israel. It's basically just fucking America.
It's basically
just
America, and
Trump.
only for the last like 5 years.
Literally, Trump himself in Trump 1 was the person who officially recognised it
Yeah.
by the US, and literally nobody else.
Oh yeah, and thanks Joe Biden for rolling that back. Oh no, he didn't. Prick. Anyway.
And again, it's really important to make it just impress upon everybody who's watching this that they are trying to conflate and equivocate between teachers accurately stating the government's position on the capital of Israel, or what the recognition of the capital of Israel, and people openly doing Nazi salutes in front of Jewish people and saying Jews shouldn't have the same rights as others. You know, one clear-cut, obvious anti-Semitism, and the other one just a fact.
Yeah. This was interpreted by some Jewish parents as expressing an endorsement of the Palestinian refusal to recognise the city of the... No, it's because it isn't... The country we're in now doesn't recognise that. So it's literally... It's Tel Aviv. What the... Oh, for fuck's sake. Anyway, right. Well, it was interpreted by some Jewish parents as expressing an endorsement of the Palestinian refusal to recognise the city as the capital of Israel, choosing instead to hold East Jerusalem as capital of any future Palestinian state. Yeah.
I mean, like, but the capital of Palestine at the moment is Ramallah, right?
Yes. Officially, yes.
Again, the same way that officially Tel Aviv is in Israel. Like, it's just...
One parent who has a 13-year-old at the school said, "This all goes towards creating a hostile environment towards Jewish children, and we cannot turn a blind eye towards it." No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. That's just a lie. You're full of shit. Telling correct geographic/political facts might be inconvenient for Zionists. It is not, however, hostile to anybody. That's what schools are there to do, to teach your children reality. Not whatever bullshit you've made up in your fucking head. The school has launched an internal investigation into the allegations.
Why?
Why?
This is the same school with the Hitler salute, so you know. Okay.
Well, that's fine.
Perfectly. But then again, like, this article is implying that it's investigating them with the same weight.
Yeah, I'm mad. Epping. A mother in Epping, Essex, said she had withdrawn her 13-year-old daughter from her school in May last year, following a dispute over a teacher wearing pro-Palestinian badges following the October the 7th attacks. Now, when you say... Hang on, so May of last year, so like a year after the October attacks, someone... So the fact that, I mean, chronologically, it is correct. The badge was worn after October the 7th. It was also worn after the War of 1812 and the building of the pyramids. Are there any other fucking historic incidents that you want to place on a timeline for no fucking reason? They're not connected. If she'd worn it the day afterwards, maybe you'd have a point.
Literally, it's just
not
like,
a year later. That's just fucking bullshit. Again, it's victim playing bullshit. Someone wearing a pro-Palestinian badge is fine. Fucking grow up.
No, Kevin. It's exactly the same as buses full of children being verbally abused for existing whilst Jewish. Like, these are morally equivalent, chap.
Literally, the following straight on from... There's a fucking person doing a Nazi salute and saying that Jews shouldn't have rights. That's actual real fucked up anti-Semitism. Someone wearing a badge after an incident that took place 14 months prior, or whatever the fuck it was. You're a cunt. You're a cunt. I'm just saying, the parent of this child is a cunt. Regardless of the parent of the child, the Telegraph are openly undermining the fight against anti-Semitism by making these conflations. Yeah, absolutely. The woman claimed that after she had complained about the badges, which included the Palestinian watermelon symbol, so literally you can't even wear a watermelon badge. It's not a fucking Hamas pin. It's a fucking slice of watermelon, you pricks.
Well, the thing is, the problem is, Kev, is that so many people on the political right, especially people politically connected, they genuinely believe that if you support Palestine, you there must therefore support Hamas. The
Yeah.
existential fight here is basically between the state of Israel and the hordes of Muslims coming from the east.
Yeah.
That's their geopolitical viewpoint of what's happening. I mean, literally, this is what internal Israelis believe. There was the an Israeli minister was saying stuff like this, and I was watching a video by Traveling Israel because he was responding to a Double Down News video, and all his comments were they weren't even trying to talk to the content of the video. It was just, but yes, all these people will be so sad when they side with the Muslims in their conquest of the West. And I'm just like, that's not what's happening. They genuinely, the Rashidun Caliphate is gonna rise anew and try and fucking make its way into Europe and up the Iberian Peninsula.
Well, exactly. Well, Saladin is honestly he's coming for you. Fact. Complained about the badges, including the Palestinian watermelon symbol. The teacher began imposing quote-unquote unfair disciplinary measures on her child, including giving her detention on her birthday. Now, that's a bit rough, if it is unfair. I do, however, question what this person thinks is unfair, given that they think wearing a fucking badge with a watermelon on it is unfair.
It's just kind of human pattern recognition, and the
Like it's like maybe you you know, parent. I'm just going to call you parent. Are a prick, so you've probably raised a little prick. I don't know the 13-year-old child in question, and they're a child, obviously. But again, as discussed, children are scum. Your child is probably a wanker as well, so they probably got in detention, and it doesn't matter if it's her fucking birthday. You don't get a special free pass to be a wanker at school because it's your fucking birthday. You get detention because you acted like a twat. Yeah, whatever. Like, again, this isn't anti-Semitic. Nothing in this one is anti-Semitic in the slightest. This is just bollocks. Epping can fuck off.
And again, just
yeah,
the insane fucking like lurches from side to side is this is equivocated between the shit we've talked about so far. It's insane. Yeah. It's so crazy.
Leeds.
Also, by the way, the internet has kindly informed me, Saladin is the Ayyubid Caliphate, not the Rashidun Caliphate. Kevin, get your caliphates right.
Suck my dick.
I didn't know who Saladin was, so I'm in no position to comment.
Okay. Well, yeah. He was he fought. Did he fight against Richard the Lionheart? I think. It was one of the Crusades. Yeah. Richard III. Yeah, Richard Coeur de Lion. Because again, he wasn't actually English. He was French. The Angevin Empire wasn't an England ruling France. It was the other way round. You pricks. Sorry. English nationalism is so mental and dumb. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Right. Leeds, which obviously is terrorist because that's where Turn Left is from. So.
True.
Curtis, they're onto you, mate. Leeds. There is also claims that some classroom textbooks are minimising or even eradicating historical Jewish connections with the land that now forms Israel. Okay, I mean, I don't know. Okay, we'll see what it says. One year 7 teacher, so year 7 is, for the outsiders, is like 11 years old, basically.
11 and 12, yeah.
So it's the first year of like high school. One year 7 teaching pack referred to Jesus as being born in Palestine because he was born in Palestine. Yes, that is true. Again, I'm sorry that geographical historical facts are inconvenient for you. Look, he was a Jewish man who was born in Palestine because Jews have lived there a long time. That is true. Israel also, isn't one of those things, though. I'm sorry.
I mean, like, Palestine is just an area of land. For a long time, it was an area of land until the Palestinian kind of diaspora. At that time, the Palestinian ethnicity gained ethnogenesis. Right, it became very specific because of the area that they lived and where that ethnicity kind of came into existence.
Yeah, interestingly, having mentioned Richard the Lionheart, his statue outside Parliament, because even though he was a genocidal freak and a religious extremist, he has a statue where he's on horseback holding a sword outside Parliament, naturally. Anyway, his statue has that he went to Palestine in years such and such, such and such. That statue is older than Israel. Just saying.
That's it.
Yeah. Anyway, yes.
But yeah, like the implication here is that somehow Jesus was born in the modern nation state of Palestine that they don't believe exists, by the way. But when actually, Palestine just always has referred to the area of land in the Levant broadly, and going up towards Syria, going back to Herodotus, by the way.
Well, indeed. People, Zionists will do this. They'll say there was never a nation called Palestine. Well, there wasn't one called fucking Israel either. The nation state is 250 years old. What are you talking about? Like, there wasn't a Palestine 1,000 years ago. There wasn't an Israel. There wasn't a UK. There wasn't a Russia. There wasn't an anything. Nation states didn't exist.
Yeah, it's such a dumb argument, isn't it?
No, ridiculous.
Again, because they think, but again, like, the rightoids seem to believe that nation states are some kind of metaphysical manifestation that cannot be in any way undermined or in any way changed.
Well, it's ironically
as if they're somehow like ever present and universal rather than human constructs.
Yeah, and ironically, it is kind of blood and soil. The idea of like Frenchness or Germanness, like it disgusts me that some dickhead a million years ago, or no, 200, 400 years ago, whatever, drew a line on a map so I get rights that the people on the other side don't. What? It's fucking nonsense. And again, you can change all of this. Like, when they say, oh, Israel has a right to exist, no country has a right to exist. Greater countries than Israel have come and gone, and will do so in the future. Israel will probably be one of them at some point, because things don't go on forever. Again, a country that used to run that part of the world, the Roman Empire, doesn't fucking exist anymore. And the aforementioned caliphates, who also ran that land, don't exist anymore. Should we go? How far do we go back? Should the ancient fucking should we say, well, Alexander the Great took over the Levant, therefore the Greeks get to run it? No, it's fucking nonsense. Anyway.
Well, again, like all these things, I mean, the idea of Frenchness and Germanness, I guess that there's like cultural things that have kind of happened within those communities for a long time. I guess you can make it sort of similar, but like the idea that somehow their ethnic nature gives them kind of fucking inalienable historic rights to certain fucking strips of land. Insane. Insane ideology.
It's even more insane when you get people from Warsaw or fucking New York turn up and go, well, this is our land now. No, I'm sorry, pricks. Your ancestors fucking left. You don't just come back. It's like, especially when the Nakba people who did live there and were forced out can't fucking go back.
Well, that's the thing, right? It's that, their ancestors were kicked out in lots of cases, especially by the Romans, for example. But again, like, how far is that ancestry? Lots of people who, especially European, don't actually have much ethnic ties to the land anyway. But it's also fucking messy and dumb and a little bit kind of fucking... You have to get the calipers to be able to do these weird ethnic tests or whatever it is.
Yeah.
That's
the point.
Stop trying to fucking ethnicize land. It's crazy.
Well, it is dumb. It's very dumb. Can a convert to Judaism become an Israeli citizen?
Yes, they can, yeah.
Okay. What about if the Palestinians all claim to be Jewish?
I mean, it's like, again, this is just how fucking dumb and murky my ethnostatism is incredibly stupid as an idea. Because trying to find some kind of hard and fast line about what does and doesn't count is impossible. It's totally impossible.
I'm just saying, Palestinians, modern problems require modern solutions. Okay?
it's just as stupid as trying to say that these certain ethnic groups that we've decided to delineate in this certain way can also delineate what parts of the land belong to who. It's like the borders of nation states somehow have like historical precedence to which fucking set of genetics is linked to certain bits of fucking topography. No, of course not.
It is. If you go over, say, like the French border into Germany, on one side of the border they're all into like garlic and fucking everything, and on the other side they're all Nazis. It's just a truth. It's a truth. You know it's true. Don't fucking start with me, Europe. Then we get on to the Italians. Ugh.
Yeah, like the borders of nation states were drawn up mostly stupidly by Britain, or were done by convenience, basically.
Yeah. Well, exactly, and especially given that if you look at the map of Europe and how it's evolved just over the last 200 years, shows you that like nation states come and go and change and evolve and break down and join together, and it's just a fucking mishmash of nonsense. Belgium isn't a real thing, but you know what? It was convenient for Britain, so we made it a thing. The Belgian people do not exist. There are French people and there are Dutch people, and they went, fuck it, slam them together. Buffer state, woo! Like
But yeah, like it's all a mess. It's all, and anyone's trying to, again, it's always conservatives that do this, because a lot of conservatives in their head have these just so simple black and white binary understandings of the world, and refuse to see shades of grey and nuance and entropy, which obviously exists in reality.
Yeah. Well, no, the Walloons are the French people in this situation, is what I'm suggesting. Yes, Switzerland, a country that has 4 official languages, mental. I love it, don't get me wrong, it's fine, if you want to stop doing the weird anti-Muslim stuff, but it's not a real, like, it's not natural. Look, if you look at the borders of Europe and tell me that any of this is natural, you're a fucking idiot. It's nonsense.
Yeah, exactly. It's all constructed by humans and can be deconstructed just as easily.
Indeed, sir. Anyhow, so getting past the fact that Jesus was born in Palestine, which researchers said was historically inaccurate. Which researchers were these that said this was historically inaccurate?
Funny you should mention that, Kevin.
Oh, it's everyone's favourite front for the nation state of Israel, UK Lawyers for Israel.
They tell you in their name, by the way, that they exist for Israel.
Yeah, to be fair, unlike the campaign against anti-Semitism, these are not pretending not to be a front.
No.
Yeah, anyway. A legal lobby group complained to Leeds Grammar School about, by the way, Leeds, why have you got grammar schools? And stop that.
Lots of the old grammar schools are still called the grammar schools, even if they're not actual grammar schools anymore.
Well, that needs to change. Come the revolution, Leeds Grammar School. It's
like, isn't Manchester Grammar just a private school now as well?
I have no idea.
Well, that's a Severian college, I think. I don't know. I forget.
Leeds Grammar School about its use of the Life at the Time of Jesus slide pack, which is available in a number of schools. The legal campaign stated, quote, referring to Palestine retroactively imposes a modern political label on a territory that has no such identity at the time and implies the existence of an ancient and contiguous region called Palestine, which is liable to mislead the children and contribute to the erasure of Jewish connection to the land. Okay, but there was no such place as Israel either. So what do we what do we say then? Jesus was born over there?
Levant?
Over there? that we'll just point to a map and go there. You
You
can't refer to it as a thing, because that would be erasure. Look, it's bollocks. You have to call it something. It was always, up until this nation state of Israel came along, everyone was fine calling it Palestine. You know who also called it Palestine? All of the early Zionists.
And like, just in terms of the historical nature of when Jesus was born, so it is worth pointing out, like, he is, of course, Jesus of Nazareth, right? Like,
yes,
this is
because he was in that rock band.
Yeah, but like, okay, but in terms of the names that people called the area of the Levant at the time, the name Palestine, as mentioned before, goes back to Herodotus. That's like 450 BC.
Yeah. No,
there are plenty of people at the time who called it Palestine. Jewish people at the time called it Palestine, like Josephus and people like that. You know.
Well, Josephus, please. Let's have our Roman era Jewish historians pronounce correctly, shall we?
You are the historical knower.
Yeah.
You are the learned one of history.
One of the great reasons I know about Josephus was because of my militant atheist days. He is, of course, the first person to ever write down the existence of a person called Jesus. He lived 90 years after Jesus was killed. So he never knew him, but he writes down that there are people who worship a person called Jesus.
Interesting. I didn't know that. But yeah, apparently, I was looking at this. Apparently, Josephus literally described the land, the area of the Levant, as being called Palestine, basically because Herodotus did.
Yeah.
Herodotus, who did it in 450 BC, 500
years.
Interestingly, almost 450 years before Christ. So that tells you when that was.
And interestingly, do you know why it's called Palestine? It was
from Peliset was the original Egyptian word for
yes.
it, wasn't it?
Yes and no. No, you were almost correct. It was based on the Egyptians, but it was the Great Iron Age civilizational collapse, which was brought about by migrants, of all things. They're now thought to be possibly people escaping from climate change in northern and central Europe, who settled in these people. They came there as the Sea People, because they didn't know where the fuck they were from or whatever. They were just raiders that turned up on the coast of Mesopotamia and Egypt and smashed their way through to it. And one of those groups was called the Peliset, and they settled in what became Palestine.
Well, there you
Sorry, Bronze Age, not fucking Iron Age. My bad. Yeah. Yeah, so that's why it's called them. They're all good. The Weshesh was another one. I love that word. Anyway, whatever. Yeah, they were the original boat people. Yeah, you probably had pharaohs going, "Stop the small boats." Ah. Anyway, yeah. So it goes back even further than it goes back all the way back
Herodotus.
to yeah, all the way.
But Herodotus is the one. Is the first known reference to the word Palestine specifically.
Yeah. And like that's not to deny that people were called the Israelites. Like Israel is also a thing connected with that area. No one's denying
the Kingdom of Israel. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, they're like it's fine. That's absolutely fine. Yeah, but it's the idea that saying that Jesus was born in Palestine is erasure of Jewish connection. No, it fucking isn't. One of the best known things about Jesus is that he was Jewish. He's probably the most famous Jewish person that's ever existed. And I'm including Woody Allen in that. So, just saying.
Yeah, real Streisand effect, that.
Exactly. And the reason he's that famous is because of the fucking Romans. The Romans decided to make everyone Christian eventually, and then they collapsed. What a surprise. Anyway. UK LFI added, describing the land as Palestine prior to the Bar Kokhba revolt is not only historically inaccurate, well, you're incorrect there, but has compounding effects on suppressing Jewish national identity. Hang on. Jewish national identity. This is some blood and soil shit. What are you talking about?
Like, there's no national identity. Like, the concept of a nation, as you said, Kevin, is 250 years old.
Nation state is 250. Nation, as in a sort of geographically located, ethnically reasonably homogenous, not singular or anything like that, but like reasonably similar in a specific geographic location of a kind of larger community. That has existed for a long time, obviously. I literally mentioned the Israelites. That was a group. The Egyptians, that was a group, But the nation state is about 250 years old. So the idea that there is... firstly, the idea that there is a nation state called Palestine doesn't exist then. Well, neither does Israel, neither does anywhere else. And secondly, religious or even sole ethnic groups that have diaspora all around the world do not have national identity. They have ethnic identity to a certain extent, although again there are differences. There are lots of very different types of Jewish people, as indeed can be found by the fact that the Ethiopian Jews are not treated the same in Israel as non-Ethiopian Jews, for instance. But the idea that there is this kind of ethnic national identity is some Nazi like blood and soil bullshit. The idea that a Jewish person in New York is the same as a Jewish person from Kiev or a Jewish person from fucking Tel Aviv or Johannesburg. The idea that these are the same people and have some like mind-melding fucking Borg-like single identity is fucking bullshit and deeply fucking anti-Semitic. To deny the rich cultural heritages of the various different types of Jewish people around the world, to say, no, there's one Jewish identity and it's whatever the fuck the Zionists in fucking Jerusalem say. No, fuck you. You're the one erasing Jewish people by pretending they're all one fucking thing, you sick bastards. Anyway. The compounding effect of suppressing Jewish national identity long before the Romans officially imposed this name on the province of Judea. Again, officially, it was sort of called Palestine before this anyway. Judea existed, but so did, Samaria and various other elements of the local area. Oh, hang on. Hello? Hello? Hello.
Hello. Can you hear me
Oh,
now?
I can hear you now. Apologies.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
did-
I was having a conversation and I didn't realize you couldn't hear me. It was really awful, really rubbish. I was adding to your point there.
Okay.
The not only is it insane that the people imply that there's this giant fucking Borg-like singularity that links all Jewish people together because they happen to have similar genomes is insane, and also it's also even further insane the idea that because of this international Borg-like connection they have because of similar genomes, that means they all have to congregate in this very specific piece of land that some of them were related to at some point 2,000 years ago, also happen to be related to.
Yeah. And again, just to point out, the earliest Zionists, the original founders of the Zionism movement, Herzog and his crew, all referred to the land as Palestine. They didn't refer to it as Judea or Israel. Like, they would refer to Israel as a sort of concept, because again, Israelite is a thing, there's a lineage involving that word, but there wasn't even a claim that they were going to call it that, necessarily. But, like, Palestine was one of the options they would look towards as a place to have land. Again, it wasn't the only one. There were other suggestions. There was a desert in Mexico that was suggested at one point. There was an African plan, that they would find some land in Africa and go there. Or Palestine, which they did have a long, ancient connection to, but obviously, like, people already sort of lived there. It was an issue. Anyway.
It's not an issue.
It's not an issue. Oh, talking of
Not an
him.
issue.
He's obsessed with the Greens in Barnsley. It's very funny. Anyway. Where Providence of Judea. It also feeds into recent efforts by anti-Israel activists to spread disinformation that Jesus was Palestinian in an attempt to erase his Jewish origin. No, you can be Jewish and Palestinian. There were lots of them there.
Although he wasn't Palestinian. Like, Palestinian as an ethnic group or as a nationality did not exist in 0 BC.
If you want to be absolutely, like, technical
We
about
just-
it, but
yeah,
look,
like,
neither did Israel. Look, you could call it
Well, yeah.
what do you want to call him, a Judean?
Well, yeah, I mean, the irony, of course, is that at the time of Jesus' birth, Judea as the Roman province didn't exist. It was
That's
the
also true.
Herodian Tetrarchy.
Well, literally, yeah. But you can do this with all of these things. Like we say, St. George was Turkish. Well, no, he wasn't. Turkey didn't exist. In fact,
It was
Turkey,
Cappadocian.
yeah, Turkic peoples barely existed anywhere at all. They had not yet become a thing. But we don't nitpick at it. You go, he's from the land that we now call Turkey. It's fine. The point is, geographically, he's from that fucking place. It's not erasing his Cappadocian roots. Fucking hell. It's just, like, the idea that we're supposed to give a fuck about this nitpicking shit when they're doing it in defence of a genocide. Let's be honest, the UK LFI are doing this to defend a genocidal ethno-state. I'm sorry, you're nitpicking about the fucking Judean origins of Jesus. I don't give a shit. Fuck you.
Tom in chat points out, would Jesus have considered himself at the time to be anything other than of Nazareth? I mean, the whole King of the Jews stuff, that's a bit like biblical descriptions, but I mean,
Well,
is that from the way people described him at the time?
Well, I don't know how. Obviously, we don't know how he would have described himself, but like, he was of Nazareth. He was described as Nazarene. So, like,
Yeah, I mean,
like, and again, people did associate with the city they were from. Literally, in ancient cultures, in places like Mesopotamia, which obviously not very far away, literally each city had its own religion. Not to say they weren't all connected and believed in similar sorts of things, but each city had its own god. And that if you were a traveller going to that city, you would worship and give offerings and thanks at the altar of that god to enable safe passage on your journey, etc., etc. Like, these things were much more localised. The idea that the idea that even all of the Jewish people of the Levant would have felt connected by anything is ridiculous.
Yeah, and that's the end of the day, is that you either, in those times, you either had vast sprawling empires or kind of collections of city-states, really.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. Again, because the nation state didn't exist and wouldn't do so for another 1700 years, you know? Anyway. Leeds Grammar School, which has has a dozen Jewish members of staff and around 90 Jewish pupils, said it committed to fostering an inclusive, respectful and culturally rich environment for all students. The school said it had also established a range of practices to support Jewish pupils' religious and cultural identity, including regular Jewish assemblies and celebration of key festivals. Responding to the complaint from UK LFI, a spokesman for the school said, "When we were made aware of parents concerned about a teaching resource, it was reviewed by subject specialists in our RS department."
Whoa. RS department? History department, really, surely?
Well, again, I mean, are we entirely sure that there actually was a Jesus? Probably, but, like, the historical facts we know about him are scant.
It's very, very true. It's very, very true.
Like,
but again,
the historical Jesus apparently walked on fucking water. No, he didn't. Obviously, like he was a religious teacher from Nazareth at roughly the turn of BCE into CE. That's fine.
Indeed so. But again, like, it is funny that the teacher's response was just, "We have filed your complaint in the laugh at tomorrow box."
Yeah, well, no, you've got into what we like to call the shredding folder. Like, your complaint is fucking bullshit. We don't have time to fuck around with your nonsense. We're supposed to be teaching children. Fuck off. Again, the UK LFI are such wankers. Literally, just to give you a clarification or a furtherance of how untrustworthy they are now, it is legally obliged that when they take forward cases to court against people, it is put in there that they have vexatious history. Specifically,
really?
the court, there was a Muslim doctor that they took to court vexatiously like fucking 6 times, and eventually the final one, someone can link the actual story. They were so vexatious that the final case against this guy not only was thrown out of court early, but specifically the judge wrote down a letter that they would have to be handed in to the court in any future litigation case to show that judge the past history of this organisation's fucking bullshit. Literally, like he wanted to pre-warn any future judge that this group are not to be fucking trusted. That's how underhanded these pricks are.
Fuck me.
Yeah. Anyway.
The rest of the article, I believe, is just people's reactions,
Oh, Bridget Phillipson said a thing. I don't care. Right. Yes. Okie doke.
There is another. I didn't think we might have time to talk about it, but it's only 11 o'clock. There is another. I know you might be tired of reading articles, Kevin.
No. I am the most famous reader of articles that Matt Binder has never heard of.
There's a really fucking funny article that I've just messaged you as well, which is worth talking about because it's like this article is so labor together. It is the most labor together article that you've ever read because it combines everything. It combines all of the scandal of what these people are like, all of the backhanded and underhanded shit, alongside this fucking attitude that they have that the public are so fucking stupid that they can tell the most brazen and stupid lies, the most unbelievable shit, and they expect the public to believe it. It's perfect, and the headline tells it all.
You have sent me no such article.
Oops, I posted it in the wrong thing. Let me put it in the DM. Sorry, I thought I had the DMs open and I instead posted it in my Discord.
Okay, well there you go. Okie doke. Oh, so we have a canary article. Okay. I would say the canary in the coal mine, but we don't have any of those left. Right. Disgraced minister blamed scandal on being 30 years old. I'm sorry. No. You can get away with, look, as we talked about, if it's a 13-year-old being a prick, fine. Look, it's not okay, but like, they're a kid. 30, you have not been a child for over a decade now. You can't, no. Stop it. Naughty, well, not boy, naughty man. Okay? Naughty, grown fucking man and member of parliament, you cunt. Right.
Literally.
Like,
Views to the top of the article.
Yeah, that is pretty good. That is good. But like, I love that. Did you tell the people you asked for their votes that you couldn't be trusted because you were only 30? Or did you say, no, you can put your trust in me even though I'm only 30 because I'm a grown-up, sensible adult? and you were full of shit one of the times at least. Okay.
It's worth pointing out this guy went to Cambridge and fucking Harvard.
Oh God. When Cambridge send in their people, they're not sending their best. You know. Josh Simons is Labour's ex-minister who was forced to resign from government. The scandal which led to his downfall revolved around Simons having private investigators look into journalists for the crime of doing journalism.
Literally. So, for people who aren't aware of what this was, so Josh Simons hired a firm called APCO to look into 3 journalists in particular, which was Patrick Maguire and Gabriel Pogren, to do investigative work and to do Westminster stuff for the Times, right? Including weird stuff where they literally tried to imply that the fact that Gabriel Pogren was Jewish made that his reporting couldn't be believed. Genuinely insane stuff, really.
Yeah.
And they essentially tried to ruin Paul Holden's career because he was handing information to Pogren and Maguire about the dodgy donations that Labour Together were getting from CEOs and hedge fund bankers and from businessmen and millionaires and people like Trevor Chin.
Yeah.
So this was real kind of underhanded shit that was being used to try and smear the reputations of journalists, really important journalists doing important work, actually holding the powerful to account, which was then found to be having done illegally. The donations they were investigating, that Paul Holden was investigating, was found to have been illegal to Labour Together by the Electoral Commission.
Yes. Special stuff. I mean, really like authoritarian, underhanded shite. Yeah.
Yeah, really, it's something. It was so much of a scandal, he literally had to resign his post in government.
Yeah. Which, like, they had the best friend of a nonce that, like, they didn't even kick him out of the party, he left.
Yeah.
You know. And whilst that sounds bad, have you considered that Simons may have been a tender wee boy of just 30 when he did it? Which is nice. And then the tweet is from Ollie Cole. Former Labour Minister Josh Simons has told Times Radio that, quote, I was 30 years old. I didn't read the contract very carefully. Okay, Josh. Do you also have a mortgage or rental agreement? Because you should read those contracts pretty carefully too, I think, actually. Okay.
Oh, yes, it's again, as I said before, they just continually treat the public like they're idiots. They can tell the most obvious and brazen lies, obvious insane nonsense, stuff that no one who has like an IQ in double figures would be able to like intuit was nonsense.
Yeah.
And they expect the public to believe it. That I didn't actually mean to try and ruin the careers of journalists for holding me accountable as a powerful politician and for an incredibly influential figure within the government and to the most powerful man in the country. No, none of that. I was just a small bean 30-year-old person who cannot be held accountable for any of my own actions. I am blameless.
Yeah. So he said that when asked about commissioning a report into the background of 2 Sunday Times journalists while working for Labour Together. This is like peak Labour Together at this point. Making of a scandal. We were reporting on Simon's dubious activities back in September 2025. The following came from investigative journalist Paul Holden, who wrote The Fraud, an expose on Keir Starmer and Labour Together. Paul Holden said he had been pretty damn scared when he found out that Labour Together had set the hounds on me. McSweeney is a chief architect of the anti-Semitism scam against Jeremy Corbyn and attempts to destroy the Canary. Holden also claims that former Labour Together director Josh Simons, now a Cabinet Office Minister, was at least aware of the group's decision to set the investigators onto him, telling the Mail that, quote, it was all very worrying. I was told these private detectives were looking into me, my family and my colleagues, all at the request of Labour Together. I could only assume they were digging dirt to discredit me or my research. The investigators were trying to find out how I was getting all my information, not challenge its accuracy. Because again,
thing, right,
never take on the argument, always take on the man. Yeah,
that's true. I mean,
that's the Labour Together way.
Yeah. And the way they tried to ruin his career was essentially trying to say that he was being paid by Russia, or they had Russian links to try and at least allege or to try and suggest that he was being paid by Russia. And this is a guy who's held accountable like incredibly corrupt people in South Africa, because Paul Holden is originally from South Africa, right? And so a lot of his incredible and incredibly important work trying to deal with South African corruption would be smeared. It could potentially be, thrown out or treated as being less than reputable
Is Paul
if these things happened.
Is Paul Holden a white guy?
He is.
So we found one good white South African.
We did this because that's why I left. They moved to the UK.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Fair
But
enough.
in general, that's the
Basically,
thing,
as a
right?
white South African, you've got three options: one, stay and be really racist; two, kill your girlfriend; or three, flee. That's it. Those are your choices.
But at the end of the day, it's just these people's work meant nothing to people like Josh Simons, who believed that it was perfectly reasonable to set private investigators on people purely because they might threaten your political career by reporting on the things that you've said and done.
Yeah, exactly. They're not making shit up. Again, we're not challenging the accuracy of the reporting, just the
Nope.
can we find any shit on them bit.
Literally. And again,
My favourite
it's worth
bit of
pointing out-
muckraking ever, by the way, is a fantastic story that Ian Hislop tells of when, because he attacked Piers Morgan back in the 90s on Have I Got News For You, and Piers Morgan's had it out for him ever since. And literally, Hislop tells the story, he was contacted by his local vicar, out of the blue, surprising, and the vicar told him that someone working on behalf of Piers Morgan had rang him, offered him sums of money for any information that Ian Hislop had told the priest during confession. And he said, you can tell this is how ignorant Piers Morgan is because he didn't realise that in the Church of England we don't do confession like that.
It's not the only
Which
person
is
who's gone
really, really gross. Literally trying to pay a fucking priest to give out dirty secrets on someone. You're a cunt, mate. Fucking hell.
Have you seen this? Isn't the only person who's been going after the Ian Hislop. Have you seen Ian Hislop's has made the Star Map tiling mad on Threads?
It doesn't surprise me, yeah, because he's critical of corrupt evil bastards. So yeah,
Yeah, they literally. So I saw someone say, "I stormed out after Have I Got News For You for
Oh,
all
I
the
did, yeah,
anti-Starmer stuff from Ian Hislop." And I was like, these people are in a fucking cult.
Yeah, like you do realise he's the editor of Private Eye. Like this, I mean, obviously, I think he'd probably prefer to have a not corrupt government. But in terms of content for his magazine, this is the golden age, isn't it? They've had fucking Truss followed by Sunak followed by Keith, like the trifecta of corruption. It's perfect.
But it's weird to say, these Labourites, these Starmerites, they genuinely believe that people like Lewis Goodall and Ian Hislop and the news agents, the fucking shit like this, that they exist to be fucking client journalists. They're getting mad. These people aren't doing client journalism. It's crazy.
Well, we probably don't have time for it now, but the James O'Brien thing was a lot of fucking fun. If people,
They literally went after James O'Brien on Threads as well.
Well,
engaging in fucking tiny criticisms.
Well, that's the thing.
Starmer.
Whenever he does these tiny fucking criticisms, you think, oh, maybe he's getting it. But no, as soon as he gets the opportunity, as soon as Keir Starmer does or says anything that he thinks is vaguely defendable, he's right back up riding the dick again. He's a fucking client stenographer piece of shite. James O'Brien's fucking awful. Anyway, just because you can get based clips of him calling out right-wing media, but he's no better in terms of his fucking journalistic integrity.
No, quite.
The Labour Together spying story wouldn't become a national scandal until it was revealed they also spied on mainstream journalists. Because again, you can spy on and smear leftoids, but once you come for journalists, it's too much.
And it's also worth pointing out too, right, that the level to which the Westminster lobby will bear hug each other, regardless of their supposed political affiliation, right? The Guardian were literally given information about what was happening to Paul Holden that could have brought down Josh Simons way before the actual scandal broke and fucking sat on it and did nothing. They were busy protecting the insiders, trying to ruin the lives of journalists, not taking these allegations and making them public and actually trying to make sure that Josh Simons might not have made it into Parliament in the first place to continue his fucking reign of terror. And they didn't do anything because they're too busy protecting, of course, the internal people and making sure that it's only the real journalists that matter when they break these stories, and protecting the Labour Party as well.
Yeah. Reporting on Simon's resignation, Squawkbox wrote the following for the Canary on the 28th of February. From 2022 to 2024, Simons ran the sabotage outfit Labour Together, although you've misspelt together. Never mind. He took over after disgraced Morgan McSweeney moved on to become Keir Starmer's now former Chief of Staff. However, Simons has not resigned his parliamentary seat. All too typically, the resignation letter is full of self-exoneration and excuses. Instead of taking responsibility, the letter leans on Simon's supposed vindication by Sir Murray Magnus. Magnus is the supposedly independent advisor on ministerial standards. This is farcical. When Simon's own leaked WhatsApp messages revealed... Oh, so he didn't have his phone stolen. Okay. Because that's not always the thing, isn't it? This is farcical. When Simon's own leaked WhatsApp messages revealed that Starmer had told Magnus to conduct only a fast, i.e. cursory investigation.
Of course he did. Wow, the adults are in the room. This is proper, serious, sensible, non-corrupt government in action, chat.
Well, now we know why he didn't know anything about Mandelson, because he didn't ask. He just rushed through the questions. Did you do the thing? No? Okay, yeah, ambassador.
Literally.
With a complete failure of self-awareness, Simons frames his departure in terms of the public's justified low trust in politicians. And like any good Israel apologist, he had to slip in a spurious reference to so-called Labour anti-Semitism to smear the diligent, professional, independent authors and journalists who exposed Labour Together. Because again, they're addicted. They're addicted to calling people anti-Semites. It's like a fucking Tourette's with them. Right. It was far from the only time Simons blamed his mistakes on alleged anti-Semitism. Okay, what's this? You can't put articles inside the articles, Jesus. With a mentor, Simon saw little way to rise up the ranks of the Labour Party. He soon left afterwards and within months became one of the first anti-Semitism whistleblowers of the Corbyn era. Writing in The Observer, Simons insinuated, avoided saying explicitly, that he'd left Labour Together, because of anti-Jewish prejudice. After 6 months working as a policy advisor for Jeremy Corbyn, he wrote, "It was clear to me that the way Corbyn and those around him think about Jewish people is shaped by a frenetic anti-imperialism focused on Israel and America."
I mean, we are anti-Israel in terms of the fact that we're anti-imperialist, but that's because it's a colonial project, so that's why we criticise it. It's nothing to do with, again, the ethnicity of the people involved. It's also the act of colonisation.
In writing that, you're implicitly saying that Israel is an imperialist endeavour.
Or just like Hen Mazzig going, well, when Israel commits war crimes, leftists are all over it. When Iran commits war crimes, it's silent. Oh, so you're admitting that Israel does war crimes?
No, I mean...
so you agree?
Allegedly.
Allegedly. Well, that's the reality. It's, again, like, we don't need to criticise Iran when they do war crimes. We already sanction them. Our government already opposes them. What kind of policy change were we expecting by calling out? Yeah, well done. Our government already opposes the fucking insane shit that the Ayatollah does. They don't just need to be a press campaign because we're not selling them weapons.
But hang on. We've got a reference to an organisation that we're all familiar with. 1 second. Several of those with direct knowledge of Simons's employment by Labour Together told Novara Media, he's just terrorism central, when you think about it.
So true.
That he was removed for suspected leaking. Corbyn's Chief of Staff, Simon Fletcher, arranged with Emily Oldknow and Ian McNichol for a role to be created specifically for Simons in the London regional office. A significant demotion, and he took it. He stayed in...
by the way, it's worth pointing out Emily Oldknow is married to Jonathan Ashworth.
Nice. Okay.
And was one of the ones directly quoted in the leaked report exposing how people worked specifically to make sure Labour lost the election in 2017.
Yeah. He stayed in Southside for a few months, then left. In the so-called chicken coup of 2016, in which Labour right-winger Owen Smith tried and spectacularly failed, and swiftly failed, to oust Corbyn from the leadership, Simon supported Smith. Well, I am fucking shocked. So he's just a big loser then. Okay. Simons did not, nor has he subsequently raised a formal complaint to the Labour Party about his treatment in Labour Together. He did, however, make a lengthy submission to Shami Chakrabarti's inquiry into racism within Labour. He was displeased with the findings. Simons' friend told the Sunday Times he was bitterly disappointed by Chakrabarti's whitewash and felt that his submission, which had allegedly some of Corbyn's team at least a blind spot to anti-Semitism at worst, and then he cuts off. Okay. So basically, he's a bitch. He's a whiny little bitch, man.
It's just.
Yeah, no, go on.
It's just incredible. I'm sorry. I was going to talk about the statement, but the article goes on.
Yeah. Obviously, receiving diminishing returns from the anti-Semitism card. Honestly, I've got to praise the Canary staff here. This is a delightfully,
Acerbic.
yeah, acerbic and shade throwing article. I like it. Obviously, receiving diminishing returns from the anti-Semitism card, Simons is now blaming his mistakes on his age. Disgraced Labour minister, a boy of just 30. that is nice. That is the snark is delightful. The post at the top about Simons being a mere 30-year-old is from the Times radio producer Ollie Cole. Seemingly, the text hasn't been published online yet because a verbatim Google search produces no results. It reads in full. I already read it. Former Labour minister, blah blah blah. Yes, the famous stereotype about 30-year-olds being unable to read somewhat complicated documents. And then, this is so nice. A year later, when Simons was 31...
and a half, 31 and a half? 31 and 3/4?
Thank you for the mathematics. Because I was confused about the chronology here. Well done.
No, sorry, I'm making a joke because kids always refer to themselves as being like, I'm 12.
Oh, okay. Sorry, no, I was referring to the article. Okay, yeah. A year later, when Simons was 31 and 3/3, no, that would be 32. You cunt. Anyway, he wouldn't be in government and decided on legislation. And deciding on legislation, presumably at the same point between 30 and 31. Sorry, really reiterating the point I like. Presumably, at some point between 30 and 31, the text understanding cortex of his brain developed, and he was able to read important documents as needed. It really is farcical, isn't it? Yeah, a little bit.
Oh dear.
A little bit.
Oh dear.
Oh, that's amazing. That picture as well with him with the fucking the propeller hat is nice. Yeah. That's
just
beautiful.
honestly, again, like these, they think the public is stupid.
Yeah.
They genuinely think the public is stupid. They're just going to believe this. Like the idea that people are going to believe the idea that Morgan McSweeney just happened to have his phone stolen after Labour people were internally talking to the press saying, "What? Hope they don't pass a humble address. Don't want Morgan McSweeney's messages being read. Phone's magically been stolen. No!"
It literally is the dog ate my homework.
Literally, the dog ate my homework.
Absolutely tragic. But anyway, I'm now going to claim that I'm basically a kid because I'm only 38, which is like that's nothing, you know. Like, come on, I'm basically I'm a young adult at best, really, when you think.
Literally true. I am but a wee nipper at age 34.
You are honestly a baby. That's what you are a baby. So don't go to Israel because that's where they kill babies, as the aforementioned child pointed out with a question. Anyway, yeah, that honestly, that's peak. Like, and look, it's obviously funny, but the contempt that Labour together and Labour just in general have for the general public, that they think that people will buy the bullshit, right? They'll be like, "Oh, your phone got stolen. Well, that's a shame. Never mind then. I suppose we better stop looking into it then." Like, they're like the contempt they have for the public. That's why Keir Starmer thinks he can just trot out the line, "Well, I'm doing it in the public's best interest," or "We're not actually involved in the war." But people can see that like these things aren't true. They're just not
literally
true.
It's just not true at all, and all the lies were totally justifiable for reasons, you know, or the people can't read his old tweets to know what his positions were that he said he would support, and then he did the complete opposite of when he was actually the Labour leader. Like, it's just so nakedly obvious that all these people are lying. It's a whole host of lies, and it's incredible. These are the same people that we were told were going to be the fucking highest quality candidates, and now they're admitting that not only are obviously they scumbags who investigate journalists and trying and saying stuff like trying to smear them as getting stuff from Russia or whatever, but on top of this are so fucking stupid that they will try and first of all make you think that at age 30 they can't read documents, or are seriously saying I can't read documents at age 30 when you're supposed to be somebody scrutinising legislation as a member of the fucking cabinet.
Well, what's the difference between being 30 and not being able to read documents, or being in your late 50s being the Prime Minister and refusing to? You know,
Literally.
it could be. You know, maybe Josh Simons also doesn't have a hinterland.
One can only assume so.
Yeah. Anyway, this was emotional.
It was.
A roller coaster. Also, slightly sore throat. Did a lot of reading tonight. Give me money.
You did.
Give me money, chat. Give me all of your fucking money now. This is a state. This is a hold up. Okay, I'm just robbing
your
you.
fucking money.
Okay, you made Bob Geldof sound like he was in the IRA then. Like,
I mean, how do we know?
yeah. Look, you could give us your fucking money. Also, you've been asked twice. You will not be asked a third time. Just saying. Honestly. Anyway. So anyway, yes. So Kanye West, a little bit bad. Kneecap terrorists. That's the equation on this. Okay, in case you were wondering. Maybe Kneecap could ironically release a song called Heil Hitler. And then they'd be allowed. Then they'd be allowed to do fucking Glastonbury, and the BBC will probably show it.
Yeah, but there would be a finger wagging from Keir Starmer. Pro Hitler songs, I will express my displeasure.
But thankfully,
Ban you? No, I won't ban the pro Hitler people. No, we can't ban them. But I will register my displeasure.
Yeah. Anyway, so everyone going. Well, actually, are you still going after this? I don't know. Well, I'm done.
I mean, I've got. Okay. I did find a video of I just came up my feed of a Labour MP getting clowned on Times Radio by people, essentially her trying to say that they're not involved in the war, and it's Iqbal Mohammed MP and Ben Obsijekti, I think, saying, "No, you are involved in the war." Which I think might be quite funny to watch if you fancy that.
Yeah, okay. Well, yeah, I'm okay with that.
Yeah. Again, I didn't stream yesterday, and I said I would. So I didn't necessarily say I would, but I didn't stream yesterday, and I would usually stream on a Saturday. So I feel like I owe my chatters more than 2.5 hours.
See, I don't think I owe my people anything at all, because they watch me, so they don't deserve anything.
I mean,
you should give me money.
They've made their bed.
Exactly, they have, and it's their fault. I say to them, if you're here, more fool you. Okay.
Also, it's interesting. This is Emily Darlington MP as well. This was one of the people who was on BBC Politics Live on the day when Paul Holden's book Starmer the Fraud released, essentially just refusing to admit that it was bad that people tried to deliberately tank the election in 2017, you know?
Yeah. As if it wasn't already known, but yeah.
Yeah, and she was like, I worked really hard to win the election. I'm like, but you don't seem to care about the people who are undermining your efforts. Yeah. She's totally ignored the fucking question.
Thank you, Mrs. Rebbe, for 10 months of Prime on the Twitch. Again, you could have spent that money much more wisely. But I appreciate you choosing to spend it unwisely with me. Thank you.
I really respect Ben and his service to this country, and I'm not gonna criticize that, but I know he does acknowledge the fact that the Tories did not do enough to invest into defence. I just want to correct something he said about Kemi Badenoch, and when she said that she would that she wanted to join, that was well before Akateria was even attacked.
We are with my MPs panel: Emily Darlington for Labour, Ben Obsijekti from the Conservatives, and the Independent MP Iqbal Mohammed. Emily, the Prime Minister has said that the UK will not be drawn into this war. He has talked.
Is that Iqbal Mohammed the transphobe or the landlord?
I think he's both.
Oh, okay.
Famous leftist, though.
Yeah. Yeah, thanks, Jez.
Talked about how the UK will only allow British bases to be used for defensive purposes. But I mean, there was some evidence, wasn't there, that the one of the jets that was shot down had in fact taken off from RAF Lakenheath in Suffolk. We know that we've got the Foreign Secretary convening meeting.
Yeah, but it was fine the last time we saw it. Okay, got nothing to do with us. The plane was fine when it went up. What happens after that? Not our concern. All right.
Meetings with many other allies to talk about potential intervention to reopen the Strait of Hormuz. Are you concerned that despite that stance of the Prime Minister, that actually we are already involved because, as you were saying earlier, our British pilots and so on have been involved in trying to protect.
Speaking of the Straits of Hormuz, did you see Trump's amazing meltdown earlier today?
I did see his meltdown, yeah.
Yeah, open the fucking straits. Didn't he also refer to the Ayatollah as a bastard?
He did, but he also said praise be to Allah. Like...
Inshallah, brother Trump, inshallah!
So true, so true. Let's just scroll the thing up a bit. Okay.
Oh, that's why it was... Oh, sorry, I moved I moved the wrong fucking thing. Yeah, sorry, go on. Yeah.
There you go.
Our Gulf allies and so on.
I think it's really important to protect our allies and to protect British citizens that are in the region. And that's been our focus and the focus of the military. I think what's really important is that Keir stood up to Donald Trump when he said, we need you to join on this offensive, and said we don't know what the plan is and we're not going to join you. And that's a real difference between what Kemi Badenoch would have done and what Nigel Farage would have done, who were both sort of... Trump said jump, and they were sort of like, oh, how high would you like us to jump? And that was their immediate reaction. What Keir's done right the way through is put Britain's interests first.
Who's this Kenneth guy?
It's again, they think that we're stupid. She literally said, well, we're engaging in these military actions. I agree with all these things. You mentioned Lakenheath and stuff like that, but we're doing it for strictly defensive purposes, even though that aids the offensive purposes that America are engaging in. Well, we're doing it for the British people, and we're staying out. We stood up to Trump. It doesn't look like he did that.
No, it doesn't look like he did it at all. Because we were standing up to Trump by not letting them use the bases, and then he allowed himself to get bullied by Trump again, and now they're using the bases.
Literally.
Yeah, because again, there's nothing this man won't U-turn on. Including his marriage vows, apparently. I don't want to go into it. It's not confirmed.
And so that does mean that there is active involvement from our military in the region, defending our allies and doing defensive actions. But we certainly are not a part of the offensive actions that Donald Trump asked us to be. And Keir's been pretty clear we won't be. And we need to be clear that there is a difference in the position between Donald Trump and Keir Starmer on this, because it's not in Britain's interests. There was no long-term plan. We're seeing that now. There's been a lot of confusion.
Excuse me, screaming open the fucking straits is a long-term plan, because it's going to take a long time for that fucking plan to ever work.
But again, like, what's important as well is that they sit on the side of the British people and British interests. British people obviously massively oppose the actual war itself, and they oppose getting involved totally in for terms of the actual kind of operations that Israel and Trump are engaging in, right? 70% to 17%, it's overwhelming. But British people also, in plurality, oppose what Keir Starmer is doing right now in allowing the US to use our bases, you know?
Yeah.
It's 49 to 33%. So they're not doing what's in the British public's interest, because they are getting involved in the war, because again, engaging in defensive capacity for other countries allows them to greater invest themselves in offensive capacity. It's why we don't it's why we don't shoot down Ukrainian missiles heading towards Russia. Yeah. It's why we don't fund an Iron Dome in fucking Afghanistan, right? Because we don't think that we want to aid them to be able to do their offensive warfare themselves, in the same way that we should also be blocking funding to Israel. We shouldn't be sending them any weapons at all, and why AOC should not vote for Iron Dome funding, because funding the Iron Dome facilitates the offensive opposition, facilitates the offensive operations that Israel engages in.
Indeed so. Also, like, why is it incumbent upon America to pay for anyone else's defence? Like, we keep being lectured by Trump about how we're not pulling our weight. Motherfucker, Israel doesn't pull any weight. Israel literally does the opposite. Israel is the weight America pulls. The fuck? It would collapse without American shit. Anyway, yeah. Also, just a kind of, I suppose, a philosophical point, but one worth making nonetheless. Just because you're doing defensive things doesn't mean you're not at war. Like, usually when one side invades and the other side is defending, they're both at war. It's just one of them's doing it defensively. It's still war. You're still involved in the war. You know? But anyway.
a misunderstanding of what the Strait of Hormuz meant to the global economy, no plan on how they were going to be able to protect that during this, and no plan really on how they were going to end it, beyond thinking there would be some kind of revolutionary, they could do an Argentinian type deal. And actually that's not materialized. And it's pretty clear that in Britain we foresaw that it would become the mess that it has become.
Let's just have a listen to what I heard earlier from Mick Mulroy, who's a former US Assistant Secretary of Defense for the Middle East under President Trump. And he gave me his view on what the next steps could be.
Also, I mean, hang on. No, I forgot what I was going to fucking say now. That's really annoying. Anyway.
I think it's in the best interest of the United States to find a diplomatic way out of this. There is likely going to be more planes shot down. Certainly, if we do ground operations to seize islands in the strait itself, or Karg Island, or potentially go in and try to recover this highly enriched uranium.
You can tell how badly the American empire is failing, because they used to be able to coup people really easily. Like they were experts at it.
And I guess the difference, of course, is, I mean, like, they were so used to the kind of coups they pulled off in the Congo or whatever, because it was easier when you were like an internationally powerful global hegemon, and that position is slowly ebbing away. But also, it was a different world then. The Iranian leadership was so used to the fact that, you know, Western nations do coups in the global south, because it literally happened to them in 1953, that they specifically had like 4 different understudies for every government position or role in the supreme leadership, to ensure that they couldn't just be assassinated out of having a fucking command structure. They'd already wargamed this shit decades ago, and it was obvious that America didn't know what it was doing, because they've attacked a giant country with very, very kind of aggressive topography that makes it difficult to do a ground invasion anyway, and they've realized they've bitten off more than they can chew, and they were always going to lose.
Yeah, like Iran, it really is mad. You look at the topographical map of Iran, and it's like it was purposely designed as like the Kobe Mirage. What's it called? The fucking thing from Star Trek. The impossible task, anyway. What the fuck it's called? Yeah. Like it literally, it's perfectly designed not to be invadable. Now that doesn't mean it hasn't been, but it's very difficult and costly. Kobayashi Maru. Thank you, Maria Rent. Much love. Yeah. Also, let's be honest, like, all American presidents are imperialist scum and war criminals, but at least most of them weren't, like, fucking senile lunatics. Some of them were, to be fair, you know, but, like, yeah. Yeah, I am a nerd, and what?
And we're going to see casualties, and those casualties are likely going to cause the United States to escalate, and that's going to cause Iran to do the same.
Well, Ben, obviously, Jexy, I mean, there are some sort of talks, some sort of contacts going on, but so far these seem to be an exchange of proposals between the US and Iran through intermediaries. And there's little sign, is there, when you look at those series of Truth Social posts from the US president, that he even wants what the Americans like to describe as an off-ramp. Do you think that the UK should be doing more to try to just use what influence we do have left to try to end this war?
Well, I'll start by pushing back slightly on something that Emily just said about the willingness of Kemi to get involved in this conflict.
Kevin? Who's he? I don't know. I don't know who this person is. Why do they keep mentioning him? They're not talking about me, are they? I hope not.
I don't think that it was a case that we thought that we should be directly involved in this conflict. It was very much the case that we thought that the US should be allowed to use the bases that they have in the UK. And
well, she did say at the beginning of the conflict that that the UK should be alongside the US and we should be supporting the president, didn't she?
Absolutely, in the same way that both Australia and Canada were at the start of the conflict. And I think the issue here is that we saw that we were being...
What's funny is that they've basically all just got the same position now of, yeah, we should be doing what America wants us to do by letting them use our bases. Like, and he's out there going, yeah, just absolutely, we should do what Canada and Australia did, which was help the US and Israel violate the fucking UN Charter. Yeah. Again, insane stuff that they're all just out here going, yep, this is our position, UN Charter can go fuck itself. And I'm like, no one should take you fucking seriously.
Yeah. Although it's, I suppose, in a roundabout sense, sort of, more honest, that conservatives are now just like, no, actually the international rule of law doesn't apply to us.
Yep.
Fine. Yeah. It was more honest when they were just like, we're only breaking it in a limited and specific way, so it's fine. Like that time I limited it and specifically broke those laws about wire fraud. It's fine. It was limited and specific, so it was fine.
Attacked. British citizens were being attacked across the Middle East. We saw that RAF Akrotiri was successfully attacked by potentially an Iranian proxy. I know that the Ministry of Defence hasn't divulged where the drone that attacked RAF Akrotiri originated from. But the point was that we have seen British sovereign territory attacked twice now, once at Akrotiri and once at Diego Garcia, and we've done nothing to.
And why do we have bases that are thousands of miles from Britain? Exactly. How is that our defence? Look, because I don't know about you, but I don't really like live in Diego Garcia, because it's like literally the other side of the fucking globe.
It's worth pointing out as well is that Diego Garcia is a joint US-UK military base. I'm like,
yep.
Yeah, if US stages any fucking insane war, if they just fucking invaded China for like no reason, like another kind of international military superpower, and there was direct conflict between China and America, they would bomb fucking our joint base with them in Diego Garcia. We do. None of us here. No one in the UK wants war with China. No one in the political scene wants war with China. Even the stupid people who want the war with Iran want a war with China, and we would be forced into it because of the fact that it's a joint base. Get rid of these things, otherwise this will keep happening.
Exactly. We've tied ourselves to the lunatic. You can't, like, divorce yourself from the lunatic when you're literally, like, you've gone, oh, you know, we'd like to join the NATO lunatic handcuff club, thank you. Like, no, you're implicitly involved in it. They use our bases in Britain, they use our bases in fucking UAE and Qatar, which, again, why do we have fucking bases there?
To combat that, we saw that Keir Starmer was effectively woefully unprepared for the events of defending Cyprus. It took a month for HMS Dragon to be deployed because there was no the fleet-ready escort was HMS Duncan. It can't operate in warm water because it hasn't had its engines repaired.
It can't operate in warm water.
I mean, this is the state of the military that the Conservatives left it in because of austerity.
Well, exactly, but like, is it made of soap? What the fuck do you mean it can't operate in warm water? That's mental. I mean, all of this money is going to like fucking BAE Systems and fucking Boeing and all these evil bastards.
They accidentally made it out of gallium, so if the temperature goes above 32 degrees centigrade, then it will melt.
Oh, you fucking absolute nerd.
That's the only thing I can think of is that solid at 20 degrees, but liquid at 30 degrees.
Yeah, no, it's actually made of ice. They made an ice boat. So if it goes in warm water, it will, like Keir Starmer, melt.
Do you can make boats out of ice?
Well, yeah, of course you can. Yeah, you can make basically as long as it's cold outside, you can make anything of ice.
No, even in warm weather, there's a thing called pykrete, which is a mix of ice with like I think wood shavings, and it increases the temperature, or it stops it melting in warm temperatures. It's crazy, and it's because it's solid fucking ice. It's incredibly resilient.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Sozzle Snake, who says soap works best in warm water, I find. Yeah, but you'll also find it becomes smaller because the warm water sort of melts bits of it, and then you rub it on your hands and stuff. That's what it's supposed to do, but that's why they don't make boats out of it, traditionally.
No. Yeah, quite.
So we had to send HMS Dragon. That subsequently had to be repaired in the NATO Standing Maritime Group 1 commitment. Keir Starmer knew about this. The government was informed that these attacks were going to happen before they occurred. That's clarified. By
the way, another thing that Keir Starmer lied about in the House of Commons when he said that didn't happen, that he didn't know prior to this, and now we know he did know. There's nothing he won't U-turn on, and there's nothing he won't lie about.
Literally, just every single politician, every single political party is full of absolute reprobates in this country.
Well, except the Green Party, who are soft, high on drugs and soft on Putin.
Let's go.
Fact, and yet we deployed the Qatari UK Joint Typhoon Squadron to Qatar.
Why do we have a joint anything with Qatar? You know, the slave economy. Why is that a thing that we do? Why are we friends with Qatar, exactly?
It's a very interesting question, Kevin. Very interesting question indeed.
Answers on a postcard which won't be delivered because the mail's been privatised. So
it's literally, I'm like, our air bases in the Middle East are getting attacked, and I'm just like, why do we have air bases in the Middle East?
Yeah, like if
What the fuck are we doing there?
Yeah, if they attack, I don't know, Kent. Actually, Kent can cop it. I don't give a fuck. But if they attack like I don't know, Northamptonshire, yeah, let me know. Like, why the fuck do we have bases in Qatar or the fucking Diego in the Chagos Islands, as Kevin likes to talk about?
At the Qatari government's request, not because the government, our government, had aimed off for this capability. And Keir Starmer spoke to Donald Trump on the 23rd of January, and yet the next day we withdrew HMS Middleton, our only mine hunter, from the region. We've had
military people are the most boring cunts in the world.
They really are, aren't they?
Oh, it's our only mine hunter and blah blah blah, and the Aircraft One Joint Squadron, blah blah. Shut the fuck up. God almighty. Like, nerds are fun to listen to, especially if you don't know what the fuck they're talking about, because they could be making it up, who knows. But they're really passionate about a thing, and that's cool. Whereas military nerds are like the worst people. They're boring, they're very boring, and they're technically knowledgeable about murdering people. Thanks. Yeah, no, really, I'm glad you exist. They are peak soy, you're quite right.
We've left our allies like Bahrain exposed.
Why are we allies with fucking Bahrain? Why?
Like, we've left Bahrain exposed. I'm just like, tough. They decided to have US bases on their fucking premises, and then got involved with a war in that area, and the bases that were being used to illegally attack Iran got retaliated against. Tough shit, Bahrain. Your fault, mate. You want to be part of the American kind of military sphere of influence. You got what you fucking wanted.
Yeah, exactly. Also, like, why is it our job to defend Bahrain? Like, don't get me wrong, I'm an internationalist. I want to defend the working class people of any place. But why should we defend the nation state of Bahrain? Fuck them. Why do I care? Oh, the evil royal family that's exploiting the natural wealth that belongs to the people need to be protected. No, they don't. Fuck them. No.
Yeah, I just don't care. Just don't fucking care. Again, don't want to get attacked. Don't ally yourself with a fucking insane international imperial power like America.
Yeah, of course. If you're like best friends with the fucking lunatic who goes around attacking people when you're there, there's a chance you're gonna get you're gonna cop a few strays, you know?
So true.
Despite the fact that we have the CSIPA agreement with them, and under Article 2, we've had to hold discussions with them about how we would defend Bahrain, and we did nothing to aim off for the fact that there would likely be a conflict, even.
Oh god, we've got a fucking military nerd in chat. Resident Sailor here. Hi. The reason it may struggle in water density is tropical, fresh, and cold water all have different densities. They also have equipment called a water marker. It cleans and treats water so it's safe to drink and no salty. It's really energy intensive and needs engines at full health. Oh, okay. Well, I didn't think it literally would melt. I just meant like why, like because some water is warm, so surely we need to have shit. Like we have, look, Akrotiri is in the Mediterranean.
Yeah.
Famously a bit warm. You know.
It is kind of funny to me that we just thought we can rule the waves, but we're going to have all of these bases around the world to maintain like international superiority. But we're only going to build military vehicles capable of operating in the North Sea.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, right, if we didn't do that first bit you described, makes perfect sense. Because we are in the North Sea, so that, you know, having ships that can operate in the North Sea and the Channel and stuff, yeah, grand. We don't need ships that are able to operate in Diego Garcia. I only ever say, not a military nerd. They're a shipbuilder. Yeah, I told you, didn't I? They made wooden boats and stuff, like big ass wooden boats, like fucking galleons and shit, which is incredibly impressive. And I'm not even jealous. It's fine.
After a US carrier strike group turned up in the Eastern Mediterranean. So I think there's been a woeful lack of planning for defending British interests in the Eastern Mediterranean and across the Middle East.
Isn't part of the problem there that we, frankly, lack the warships and so on to send, and that is in part because of the lack of funds committed to rebuilding our forces, and in particular our Navy, under successive Conservative governments?
Yeah. Because, like, it takes it takes a few years to build boats. They're big and complicated. So
It is weird,
in order
though.
to have the boats now, we would have had to have started building them when you were in government.
It is also worth pointing out, it is very funny to me, that the seething and scathing critiques of austerity, kind of false economy, only gets weaponized by the press, by the media, when it's about military expenditure.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. Well, literally, though, the only time you'll ever hear Keynesianism mentioned is military Keynesianism.
So true.
Like, okay, so spending all this money on the military will create loads of jobs. It won't. It's one of the most inefficient ways of doing it, but regardless. What about doing that for, like, home insulation? Or solar panels on roofs and things like that? No?
Woke.
No,
woke.
woke. No, it's woke, yeah. No, that's you know what? Correct, yeah.
Well, I'd push back on that as well, actually. The reason why we don't have an air defence destroyer in the Eastern Mediterranean, or didn't have one available, is because we were originally meant to have 12 Type 45s, but that order was halved to 6 by the last Labour government, and they gave them the WR21 Rolls-Royce engine, which was unproven, and has had to mean that every single Type 45 has had to have its engines replaced over the course of the last 10 years. The reason why HMS Duncan couldn't be deployed as the fleet-ready escort is because it still hasn't had that work done yet. It's cost £160 million, and
You didn't do
Dragon was
it.
the only ship we
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
And you just didn't do it.
Yeah.
Like, you
Had
had
ready
the
to-
chance to do that when you were in office, and you didn't do it.
Yep. So he hasn't really pushed back on anything.
No.
go. So I think there are numerous questions, and I don't disagree. I think defence spending in hindsight should have been higher, but we.
Well, the thing is, I don't necessarily think it needed to be higher. It needs to be spent in different ways. I think we actually already spend more than we really need to. Instead of just giving it all to American companies to build nuclear weapons or like 2 submarines, like how about we, invest in the actual infrastructure so that the families of people who serve can live in not slums. Something like that, maybe,
It's again like they're very desperate to protect the country, yet very reticent to build a country worth protecting.
Yes.
We enjoyed a peace dividend. We committed firmly to Ukraine because that was the
peace dividend. Is that like the Brexit dividend? Or
and
the,
again,
or the
it's
rejoin
peace,
dividend? Like, it's just nonsense, isn't it?
Well, it's this fucking peace through strength bollocks they always talk about. Again, like, every single arms race in history has ended in a conflict because you got to use them for something. Like, the idea that an arms race is necessary because it keeps us safer is just an inversion of reality, and history has shown us this many times.
Yep.
The crocodile nearest the canoe, so to speak, and that realistically, the world has changed. Other countries have vastly increased their defence spending. I think at the time of the election, we were 2nd or 3rd in terms of defence spending within NATO. Now we're in the bottom 3rd out of 32 countries because other countries have simply increased their defence spending far more quickly than we have. We are now a year after the SDR, nearly a year after the Strategic Defence Review. We still haven't seen the Defence Investment Plan. That is months late. There is a £28 billion gap that the government has.
Are you saying that Keir Starmer didn't have a plan for this either? I am shocked.
Shocking. Yeah, literally, absolutely shocking. But in general, it's again frustrating for any Tory to say this. And again, like, defence spending has always been too low. And I'm like, but you literally think that every other spending in government is too high. It's so tilting to me. Again, like, maybe there's an argument for it. There's plenty of arguments for slashing away at the privatization fucking con job that's been done on our defense industry for ages. Again, Trident, shit like that. Maybe that more should be invested into fucking conventional defense or whatever, or cybersecurity. But no, it's never ever discussion on anything else. It's just military expenditure, and they're happy to have seen increase.
Cyber defense is the thing we need to look forward with. Yeah, like we don't need nuclear bombs. We just don't. I'm sorry that you can't justify it. What do we need nuclear bombs for? To protect our nation of food banks and conversion clinics? Like,
so true.
What?
No idea how it's going to close. Effectively, the Treasury is holding the reins on that, and we're going to see that there's going to be cuts to capability, and there's going to be a failure.
Okay, I'm just going to let Emily come back in briefly, and then I do want to hear from Iqbal. Emily.
Well, there's a lot there. I really respect Ben and his service to this country, and
I don't.
Nope, me neither.
Fuck him. He's a cunt and a Tory. I'll repeat myself.
and I'm not gonna criticize that, but I know he does acknowledge the fact that the Tories did not do enough to invest into defence. I just want to correct something he said about Kemi Badenoch and when she.
Do I even need to do the joke?
Literally.
Just infer that I've done the joke, okay? Do the work yourselves.
Of course, apparently, Kev, according to someone in chat, Ben Obsy Jexy once sued a black kid for calling him the sea slur.
Hang on, which sea slur?
It's the second half of the name of an animal.
Oh, okay. Right.
Retro.
Okay, well, I mean, was he successful in that obviously vexatious claim?
I don't know.
I would hope not. Don't get me wrong. I'm not necessarily for it, but that's like a black people issue. I don't need to be commenting on it. But either way, suing someone for that, like, sort your fucking head out, mate. And I don't just mean the weird shape of it. I mean the fucking internals, you know.
She said that she would that she wanted to join. That was well before Akateria was even attacked. It was right during the offensive actions that were.
Also, can I just point out how delightfully boomer it is that even though she's on camera, she's like leaning into the talky bit.
Yeah, I mean, it's very funny to me that they get MPs on to do these talk programs all the time. They always come on camera. It's always a webcam. It's always coming through a laptop microphone. I'm just, buy a camera, buy a microphone. You have a giant fucking MP salary. You can afford a ring light. You can afford a condenser microphone.
You can probably get it done on expenses, bizarrely. You shouldn't be allowed to, really, but you could argue it's for their job, right? So, like, whatever. But either way, they get 90 grand a year. You can, like, I don't get that, and I've got a fucking ring light, and a camera, and a microphone. And I don't lean into it, except when I'm, doing some ASMR. Which I occasionally will do,
Allegedly.
Happening. So we've got a little bit of a problem with his timelines on both how investment has happened and when Kemi said what. But the reality is we are investing more in defence than the previous Conservative government. It's absolutely right that we do that. We are moving as quickly as possible, but it's...
Why is it right that we do that? Can anyone point that out to me? Why?
I mean, again, it's just frustrating.
Trump wants us to?
Yeah, it's been accepted now. It's just like how it's accepted that there's loads of PIP fraud and that disabled need to have their benefits taken away and that we do spend too much on welfare and that every government is going to have to get to grips with the welfare bill, right? These are all things that have become just received wisdom in the SW1 circles within the halls of Westminster, despite none of it being fucking true.
Yeah.
Oh, welcome in President Sunday Raiders. Thank you. Welcome. Please hit the subscribe button. Everyone else go and do the same to @President Sunday Prime if you're watching in chat.
Indeed. Yes,
I'm here with Kevin Logan.
Hello.
We should also that's Kevin Logan as well.
Why did I wave? You people can't fucking see me. Anyway. Yes. Sorry, I was distracted. I Can't Give a Duck was to show me the massive wooden boats that they build. And that's boat porn right there. That's proper boat porn. Anyway.
Hard when things have been left to rot, including housing for our active servicemen. We've got to invest in making sure that we can retain people within our services. And Ben and I met many people who, and we saw much of the housing that they had been left to live in. And actually, we've really been prioritizing recruitment and investment in our defence long term. And
okay, well, let me just. We are late to the news, but Iqbal, do you accept that the world has changed and we do need to...
So we're late for the news. We're going to let the nominal left person here have 10 seconds to sum up this entire massive fuck up. Brilliant.
And also, comment specifically on the nature of military spending and not the whole last lie that Emily Darlington was telling about the idea we've stayed out of the war and we stood up to Trump. No.
To spend more on our defences in order to prevent our bases and our allies at a time like this?
Well, the world is more dangerous because of Donald Trump and Benjamin Netanyahu. We
I'm sorry that's that we interrupt this anti-Semitism. We can't allow this. This is an outrage. Also, his hair's the wrong way round. It's Hashim Amla all over again.
So true.
got dragged into this. Had Kemi Badenoch or Manajul Farage been
Who?
Prime Minister of this country when Israel and US went in illegally into Iran, we would be alongside them killing innocent children, men and women. Our servicemen and women would be in our fighter jets being shot down by what Iran has said, new technology.
Absolutely.
So I completely...
Well, it's nonsense that Iran would have shot... Because America's got better planes than us and they get shot down. I think our ones have still got propellers, haven't they? I don't know. Like, we've got fucking biplanes. We've got the fucking the fucking Kitty Hawk, the original. You know, like, yeah, we get fucked up. If the biggest army in the world can't fucking do shit, if the president of the most powerful country on earth is literally like, open the fucking straits, you bastard! What the fuck is our little pea shooter gonna do?
If this is the president who commands 3 of the 4 biggest air forces in the world.
No, that's mental. Yeah, go on, sorry.
So for people in chat who don't know, by the way, the biggest air force in the world is the US Air Force.
Yep.
The second biggest air force in the world is the Chinese Air Force. The third biggest air force in the world is the US Army Air Force. And the fourth biggest in the world is the US Naval Air Force.
Yeah. I wonder if there's like a hierarchy there. I wonder if you get like, if you're one of the shit ones, you'd be like, we're not going to accept you in the Air Force, but if you considered the Naval Air Force, like, I wonder if that's how it works. I don't know. But anyway, yeah. So yeah, if they can't do it, what's our fucking boat made of soap gonna do? Like, come on, man. Look, let's stop pretending that we're a world superpower. We haven't been for over a fucking century, really, at this point. Well, I know, I suppose, well, let's say with just about living memory, I suppose, right? So let's stop spending our fucking minds out pretending, trying to keep up with countries that are far richer. Yeah. Stop it. We can't fucking do it. We can't afford to build a fucking train from London to Manchester. How the fuck can we afford nuclear weapons? Or the fucking nuclear submarines? What the fuck? It's ridiculous. Oh yeah, we can't afford to fucking heat people's houses or allow disabled people to live a decent standard of living. But, you know, we need 75 billion more a year for the military-industrial complex. Yippee! Defending our schools as they crumble around our children.
I really respect Ben. I get on with him and I thank him for his service to our country.
Don't cock out. Don't be this person. We know you don't, and that's fine. I fucking don't either. It's grand.
But to rewrite what was said at the beginning of this conflict is just disrespectful to the British people.
Okay, I'm going to give Ben a very quick chance to respond to that.
Oh yeah, because he hasn't spoken enough yet.
We literally did have only 10 seconds. Literally only like 10 seconds.
This is nearly a 12-minute bit, and he gets like 10 seconds of it, and is the only one who hasn't talked utter shite.
Yeah.
Oh, for fuck's sake. Yeah, so thank you for the bits. We've got those polystyrene toy planes. Yeah, the propeller's wound up with an elastic band. Yeah.
And then we must go to the news. But
honestly, like, Keir Starmer should unveil our new planes, and it's literally just paper planes. That'd be amazing.
Get MIA to do a tribute song.
Yeah, literally, yeah. That's the only way we can have a sizable air force, is if it's all just paper planes that Keir Starmer did out of the documents he was supposed to be reading.
That he can't read.
Yeah.
Ben. The best form of defence is peace. We need diplomacy. We need people to have food, energy, warmth.
You know what? Good stuff. Don't let them talk shit. You've got a microphone as well. Keep jabbing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
Education.
Okay, and I'm going to just let Ben respond to that claim that you made there.
This conflict was a no-fawn operation. It had no foreign national involvement, so we weren't involved in the planning whatsoever. There was never an opportunity for us to be involved.
Yeah, of course you don't. The fucking head office doesn't negotiate with the fucking the minions on the shop floor, and that's what we
No,
are.
exactly.
We're America's little fucking
Literally.
outlet. They're not going to fucking come
Yeah.
to. We are at best a regional manager for them in Northern Europe. They're not going to
Exactly,
come
like, they
to
would-
us. We don't fucking get consulted by corporate.
No, like America would have told us this is what your military is doing, and we would have said yes, chef.
Yeah, HR gives us a ring and says, "Oh yeah, we're using Gloucestershire. Fuck you."
Yeah.
That's it. That's our job is to file the paperwork.
In this conflict at any level, and so the suggestion that we would be there alongside the US and Israel conducting offensive strikes right at the start is just simply a complete fabrication.
Even though Kemi Badenoch literally said that we should. So if she'd been prime
Literally,
minister,
alongside
presumably,
is the very word she used.
yeah, like presumably if she was prime minister, she would have done the thing that she said we should do. Unless you think she's like, I don't know, fucking bipolar or something. And like that day, she would have been the good, peaceful person and not gone into war. What you talking like? It's bollocks. He's just fucking lying. And like again, the contempt that Labour Together have for the British public is mirrored on the opposite side of the floor. The Tories' contempt for Britain is fucking remarkable. Like, honestly, it's one of the kind of underrated aspects of this international affair, as it were, that how the right wing, certainly in Britain, and I think in America to a degree, have totally misplayed this. Not only from a legal, human rights point of view, but just politically. They've totally misjudged all of this. Because, as I pointed out on our podcast appearance the other day, essentially the President of America got debated. He got fucking debated by an evil bastard who'd wanted to do this war for decades anyway, because Iran was 30 seconds from getting nuclear bombs for the last fucking half a century, apparently. And yeah, he got fucking this mentally dilapidated fucking crazy old bastard addicted to Fox News and fucking Russians pissing on him or whatever. It got abused, got elder abused into doing a war.
Literally. Did you know that apparently Trump can only read his briefings if they're vertical TikTok videos?
I'm not surprised. Well, they literally said that like, we realise we have to keep our briefings short because he loses interest quickly.
Yep.
And literally, they also said, and it is very McBain, where they take away like the other options and leaving the one option, is that if like we have to, to do our jobs properly as like civil servants, we have to provide all of the policy options, including like the mental ones, like let's bomb Moscow, woo, you know what I mean, like fucking crazy shit. Let's drop nukes everywhere. But we know for like to do our job properly, we have to do that. But what we do is we misdirect him to like the good end of the table, and then start taking documents away when he's not looking. Because, like, they said, we've learned from experience that he always chooses the most extreme thing. Like, he's literally a kid who's, like, playing with an annoying loud thing. So you distract them, and you take the thing and you put it down the side of the sofa so they can't fucking see it anymore. And they just instantly forget that it was there.
Oh, it's like literally everyone is 12 theory proven correct.
Yeah. He's just, honestly, he doesn't have object permanence, is what we've learned. Which is nice. I wonder if he thinks people disappear when he closes his eyes. I don't know. It's possible. He's that stripped in the mental department.
Anyway, shall we call it there?
I think so. Yes. What a note to end on.
Thank you, Present Sunday Raiders. Make sure you drop a subscription. It is free to do it, both me and Kevin. Please do that.
Indeed so. Okie dokie. Everyone go and follow No Justice of the MTGs forthwith.
That's an order to do so for Kevin Logan as well.
Indeed.
Shall we raid? I'm going to raid into Left of the Box because they were in my stream chat earlier. Enjoy more Canadian politics because Harvey Lewis is cool and an anti-Zionist, which is nice.
Yes, indeed so. And on Twitch. Oh, you're not on Twitch, are you? Okay.
No.
I'll go into JFK rotting because
and also,
they're good people.
Free Palestine.
Free Palestine. Free Cuba.
Also, actually, that's a good point. Somebody did mention I had 2 super chats during their segment. First of all, any thoughts on Gove having a crush on Shabana Mahmood? I mean, of course he would. Of course he would. They're just as fucking racist as each other.
Yeah.
And Captain Coconut says, "I'm going to do something special for my 40k sub goal. I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to do. But thank you for the donos.
You know what she's going to do? She's going to carry on being fucking awesome.
So true. So true. Anyway, I'll be back tomorrow afternoon, and I'll see you all then.
Bye.
Bye.
Or squatting in this abandoned house.